He was notorious as the useless heir, spending his days only at the red light district, partying and hanging out. Then he accidentally awakened a divine skill. Just by touching, he could infinitely copy others' abilities. Possessing two supernatural powers, he was considered a genius. Kindim meeting him was like a father beating his son. Going back a few days, a giant meteorite fell. The Lam family clan was already unhealthy, now even more broken. Outsiders would think they were going big by buying a huge, impressive miniature mountain. Lam-Tu woke up hearing the young master's call. Opening his eyes, he saw the face of the bodyguard and immediately reacted with a kick to the groin. He panicked and asked who he was and why he was in his house. The bodyguard, in pain and confused, said, "Young master, don't you recognize me? I'm Tondai Luke, your personal bodyguard." Lam-Tu still didn't understand the situation. He ran outside to check and became even more confused seeing the completely unfamiliar surroundings. He stood there dazed, causing everyone around to look at him strangely. "Isn't this young master Lam-Tu I heard last night? A meteor hit his head. Now he looks as clueless as a cow with a bow." What confused Lam-Tu even more was seeing someone flying in front of him like a superhero from a sci-fi movie. Tondai Luke kept calling him, but Lam-Tu lay on the ground mumbling, "So it was just a dream." After a while, Lam-Tu sat there feeling bored. Tondai Luke suggested he stand up since sitting on the ground would be very cold. Lam-Tu reached out and touched Dai Luke's hand and instantly felt a surge of electricity throughout his body. The system inside him activated, notifying that he had successfully copied Dai Luke's ability. Lam-Tu was so shocked he stared wide-eyed with his mouth open. He squeezed Dai Luke's hand tightly and told him not to move. However, this made Dai Luke feel strange and embarrassed. He shyly asked young master, "What do you intend by holding my hand so tightly?" After successfully copying the ability, Lam-Tu just needed a light squeeze to crush a stone. He thought to himself, this power must be the supernatural skill Tondai Luke mentioned earlier. "When I grabbed his hand, I copied his ability. This is amazing. I need to find someone to verify it immediately." Tondai Luke said there was a girl at Pham Huang Pavilion who understood animal languages. He should go check her out. Without hesitation, Lam-Tu immediately went to Pham Huang Pavilion, where beautiful and charming girls gathered. When he arrived, the girls warmly welcomed him. "Young master, do you want something bold, pure sweet, or spicy? We can fulfill any desire." However, Lam-Tu paid no attention to those invitations. He threw down a bag of money and demanded to be taken to the girl who could speak animal languages. Tondai Luke tried to stop him, reminding Lam-Tu that he was already engaged and that if his family found out, he'd be in big trouble. But Lam-Tu ignored all warnings and stubbornly went inside. The girl Lam-Tu was looking for was named Hai Duong. Among the girls at Pham Huang Pavilion, she stood out with her delicate and gentle beauty. Upon meeting Lam-Tu, she greeted him softly. "I hear you specially came to see me, young master. What is the matter?" Hai Duong responded frankly. Lam-Tu pointed to a bird and asked if she understood what it was saying. After a few chip-chip sounds from the bird, Hai Duong confirmed it was complimenting Lam-Tu on his good looks. Lam-Tu pondered, finding her words accurate and increasingly believing she truly understood animal language. Thinking so, he grabbed Hai Duong's hand, his gaze turning strange as he decided not to be polite anymore. But even though Hai Duong tried to pull away, Lam-Tu held her hand tightly. His eyes showed excitement because now he was sure he could replicate others' abilities. This process was 99% complete, almost finished. But suddenly, someone rushed in and kicked him, knocking him to the ground, causing the process to fail just before reaching paradise. Lam-Tu angrily shouted, "Who dares ruin my good plans?" The person he was yelling at was Lin Am, a girl with a strong appearance, unlike the delicate ladies. Looking at Lam-Tu, she thought silently, "Someone like him is my future husband. He doesn't deserve it." She told Lam-Tu to come with her. Lam-Tu still didn't understand what was happening. Then he yelled, "Who are you to me? Why should I listen to you? You're still upset because the restoration process almost succeeded but got interrupted." Lin didn't say much. Seeing you resist, she gave you a kick, telling you to stop acting. Under Ms. Lam-Tu's oppression, you could only scream for Tondai Luck to help. Where have you disappeared to brazenly seizing a good boy in broad daylight? Master Lam-Tu yelled outrageously. Lin knocked you unconscious and said if you weren't my future husband, she wouldn't bother disciplining you at Lum Mansion. Tondai Luck saw Lam-Tu was about to regain consciousness and quietly approached. As soon as Lam-Tu opened his eyes, he panicked and wildly kicked around, making his butt crack. He didn't understand why his butt ended up like this, nor how he got home. Tondai Luck explained that the two young ladies carried him home and that his butt was kicked by one of them. Lam-Tu angrily scolded Tondai Luck, asking if he was really his bodyguard. Did you just stand by and watch me get beaten by that tigress? Tondai defended himself, saying he couldn't fight her because she has a top-tier unique skill. Besides, you and her older sister are engaged. Hearing about the engagement, Lumtu was completely clueless and asked what engagement and who exactly she was. Tondai explained, young master, you really don't remember anything. She is True Lin the second young lady of the True family. You and her older sister, Trio Lin Kun, have been engaged since childhood. This news shocked Lumtu like being frozen in place. Immediately, he couldn't believe a playboy like himself was forced into marriage. He couldn't accept it. He held his face, thinking of ways to break the engagement and determined not to let it affect his free lifestyle. While feeling down, Lumtu suddenly sensed something strange on his hand. Then he asked Dai Luk if it was true that True Lin carried him home. He replied, young master, it was indeed True Lin who carried you home. Observing the energy flow in his hand, Lumtu felt lucky because initially he only intended to restore animal language. Unexpectedly, amidst misfortune, came fortune. He restored the ice unique skill. This time he was in deep trouble. Lumtu realized that just physical contact could restore unique skills. Thinking so, he asked Dai Luk. Dai Luk knew Lumtu was referring to the Unique Skill Institute, but in everyone's eyes, Lumtu wasn't qualified to enter yet. Everyone thought he hadn't awakened his unique skill. Moreover, he was past the age limit to enter the Unique Skill Institute. However, Lumtu didn't give up hope. He was determined to find a way into the Unique Skill Institute. To restore more unique skills in this world, strength is the truth. The more skills, the better. Still had to visit Pham Hung Cat one more time. Even if his sister-in-law beat him, so be it. Soon Lumtu arrived at Pham Hung Cat, hand in hand with Haidung. By now, he had restored 99% of his unique skill. Lumtu's action made Haidung misunderstand. She then shared her past. I was originally from Jiangnin Mansion. My family was poor since childhood. My parents sold me multiple times through transitions. Finally, I ended up here. Lumtu comforted her that the past was behind. Haidung, miss, you should look forward. Hearing this, Haidung composed a poem, like withered flowers and ruined willows trapped deep in the mud. What future is there? At that moment, Lumtu completed his restoration. Before leaving, he said a few encouraging words. The way of the world changes unpredictably. Even a young girl like you can bear the burden. Whether clean or dirty depends on the heart, not on appearances. These words seemed to touch Haidung's heart. But then he suddenly let go of her hand. She stood up and said, I have to go now. Haidung felt Lumtu was different from those who only desired her body. She blushed and said, you're right, young master. I'll try to save up. Later I'll do some honest small trade. As Lumtu left, the bird beside them chirped. This time Lumtu understood its meaning. Hey, young master is about to leave. Come on, smile at me. He smiled back. Not only that, Lumtu said later, Haidung, when you become the lady, I'll come visit often. Leaving Pham Hung Cat, Lumtu felt full of vitality. You think Miss Haidung is also unfortunate? Taking her special technique, I'll have to take care of it later. Feeling refreshed. But not long after, Lumtu felt a chill down his spine. It turned out Trio Lin was staring at him intently. Her gaze radiated a sharp aura that made anyone who saw it tremble in fear. The result was the same as last time. Lumtu was pinned down and beaten by Trio Lin until his mouth twisted. She didn't allow him to go to the red light district even though Lumtu said he was going on official business. Trio Lin threatened that if it happened again, she would ask her father to cancel his engagement with her sister. For Lumtu, this was good news. He couldn't be happier. While facing Trio Lin, he sensed the spiritual energy on her body. She asked if he had cultivated martial arts. Lumtu didn't bother answering and only cared about canceling the engagement. He said it's better to pick a day than clash with a day. Or maybe we should go cancel the engagement today. This statement made Trio Lin furious. She swung her hand to hit him while scolding, how dare you mention canceling the engagement? Is my sister not worthy of you? Do you want to get beaten? Just as he was about to be hit, Lumtu blocked Trio Lin's strike. Not only that, he used a special freezing technique on her hands. This surprised her greatly. She asked, have you awakened your special technique already? Lumtu didn't dare look straight at her and just glanced away. He couldn't admit that he had restored the freezing technique from her. Just one question made him pale as if all the blood drained from his face. Contrary to Lumtu's guess, Trio Lin smiled brightly and enthusiastically. She said, if you've awakened your special technique, then work hard on your training. But if I catch you wandering in the red light district again, I'll break your legs. Although her words were not threatening, Lumtu felt they were truly terrifying. Her sudden smile made him even more scared than when she was angry. Then Trilsinam happily left, leaving Lum-Tu feeling confused. He wondered why he awakened the special technique and why she was so cheerful. When Lum-Tu returned home, Dailuk immediately hugged him tightly, crying miserably and announcing that the master and mistress had returned. These two were Lum-Tu's parents, or more precisely, the original owner's parents. Seeing this as a good opportunity to pretend to have lost his memory, Lum-Tu feigned confusion and asked, "Who are you two?" Seeing her son not recognize them, his mother was stunned and panicked. Thinking Lum-Tu had brain damage, Dailuk immediately knelt down to confess his fault. "Master and mistress, it's all my fault for not protecting the young master well." Lum-Tu's father was even more shocked when Dailuk told him that he was hit by a meteor and awakened the Ice Heaven special technique. However, his parents were not too concerned about this. They just hoped their child would be safe. His mother handed him a bowl of soup affectionately and urged him to drink it quickly, calling him Tuni. His father also advised that they didn't expect him to be more talented than others, just wanted him to be safe. "I have found you a clerk job at Thansuti, so you won't have to worry about life." Lum-Tu obediently hugged the bowl of soup his mother gave and listened to his father's advice. Lum-Tu felt deeply moved. He wondered if this was the family he never had in his previous life. Tears welled up in his eyes. He drank the entire bowl of soup in one breath, but still felt regret because these two were Lum-Tu's parents, not his own. Then his parents continued, "Son, we have thought carefully about the engagement." His mother said honestly, now the Lum family and the Trio family are worlds apart. They were hesitant about the engagement, fearing Lum-Tu wouldn't accept it, but unexpectedly he agreed immediately. "I think so too. We can't reach the True family. Instead of waiting, it's better to cancel the engagement early." Actually, the main reason was that he was too afraid of Trio Lin and didn't want to be beaten by her again. Lum-Tu's reaction surprised his parents greatly. They froze for a moment, then continued, "If you think so, that's good. I will immediately find you a wife from a suitable family so you can get married as soon as possible." His mother was also delighted. "Yes, yes, quickly, so I can hold the grandchild." Hearing about marriage, Lum-Tu immediately ran away. "You said you're only 18 and not ready to put a collar around your neck yet. What you want to focus on most right now is how to improve your magic skills." Lum-Tu was deep in thought when suddenly a woman carrying a heavy water bucket walked by. Lum-Tu immediately ran over to help because after awakening his magic, he felt he had extra strength at that moment. Realizing it was Trio Linum, Lum-Tu immediately broke out in sweat, hiding behind the woman, wondering why she had come. Was it to fight him? But this time she only came to tell Lum-Tu to follow her to the Magic Institute. The director showed regret. "If you had awakened your magic earlier, it would have been so much better. But since he promised Linum he couldn't go back on his word." He handed Lum-Tu some tools and instructed, "From now on, you are a student of the Magic Institute. You must strive and dedicate yourself to the country. Your training will be guided by Trio Lin who also promised to teach you thoroughly." So Lum-Tu's wish to join the Magic Institute came true, though he never expected it would be fulfilled by his sister-in-law. After Master Lum-Tu was admitted to the Magic Institute, everyone kept talking. It's rare even the useless son of Binan Ba can awaken magic. Seeing Miss Linum treat him so well, could it be that the True family has truly accepted him? Lum-Tu was lost imagining a different scenario where Trio Linum would give him money and ask him to stay away from his sister. Before, he always wanted to experience living off someone else once, and unexpectedly it became reality. In this situation, he could cancel the engagement and join the Magic Institute at the same time. Lum-Tu thought this sister-in-law was truly amazing. Suddenly, Trio Linum apologized to Lum-Tu, admitting that she was wrong before. Lum-Tu thought she was apologizing for canceling the engagement, so he relaxed and said it was okay, understanding that a proud woman like his sister letting go of everyone was understandable. However, things didn't turn out as he expected. Linum affirmed that the Trio family's promise was worth 1,000 gold coins, and no matter what happened, the engagement would still be maintained. This was completely unexpected for Lum-Tu, making him feel like he had the wrong script in his hands. Trio Linum not only didn't cancel the engagement, but was more determined than ever. Ignoring Lum-Tu's shocked face, Linum continued, "Although your magic awakened very late, it's still clever. Don't underestimate anyone. Anyone can be a dark horse." This made Lum-Tu bewildered. He didn't expect she was actually encouraging him. Master Lum-Tu was stunned. Linum angrily punched the cracked wall and shouted, "Your sister has awakened magic 5 times already. To be worthy of her, you have to train hard. If you dare to be lazy, I'll send you back to your ancestors immediately." 2 days later at Lum Mansion, Lum Tu began his training process, realizing that each time he awakened, magic not only did his strength increase, but new skills were unlocked. The key to awakening is accumulating enough primal energy. After a tiring training session, Lum Tu muttered, "The book says the fastest way to train magic is to practice in the corresponding environment, like training ice magic in hot weather." 2 days and only a little progress. When he accidentally touched the teapot, he found it was broken. Without using force to check, he tried lifting the table and realized he could lift it easily. Lum Tu concluded that although he was training ice magic, his magic power also increased. As long as he trained one type of magic, other magic powers would also rise. Proudly thinking this, Lum Tu wondered who could still compete with him. Just then Trulin appeared and asked him to take off his shirt. Lum Tu shyly said, "I'm still a virgin, and besides, you're my sister-in-law. This isn't right between us." Without waiting for him to finish, Lin used magic to tear Lum Tu's shirt, exposing his skinny body. An hour later, Lin seriously said, "Your performance isn't bad. I'll come again tomorrow." Her face flushed red, then she quickly left. As for Lum Tu, exhausted, he still dragged himself out to see her off. Seeing this, Tondai Look whispered to young Master Lum Tu, "Sir, you're not planning to take both young ladies for yourself, are you?" Lum Tu punched him and said, "Nonsense, sister-in-law came to help me train your minds too dirty." "So the two young ladies really treat the young master well," Dailuk said. "You think everyone's like you? Every time I'm in danger, you're the first to run." "Ha, ha, ha. Really can't beat the two ladies. Running is the long-term strategy to survive." Then Lorntu told Dailuk, "Tomorrow come with me to Thenlai Tea. I feel I can't just sit around doing nothing. At least I have to go claim my position." The next day, Lam Tu and Dailuk arrived at Thenlai Tea. After surveying the area, Lam Tu found the environment decent, and it was also an iron rice bowl supporting Benamba. For an ordinary son, this definitely took considerable effort. At Thenlai Tea, a case was underway. The family members wept bitterly, begging the magistrate to judge fairly for their daughter. Hearing this, the county magistrate immediately questioned Tanthong. "Someone saw Mrs. Vuong entering and leaving your mansion yesterday, and today she was found hanged in your house. Do you have anything to explain? She voluntarily accepted money from me to serve in the mansion yesterday, and today she died in the house. What does that have to do with me? My daughter has always kept herself pure. How could she do such a thing with him? Please, magistrate, clear my daughter's name." Outsiders whispered whenever they saw Tanthong, "That man is the son of the first-class martial lord Batan. Poor old Vuong. How can a commoner win a lawsuit against someone with power and influence?" After just a few questions, the county magistrate hastily concluded that the case had nothing to do with Tanthong and declared the case closed. At that moment, Lam Tu spoke up to intervene. "Mrs. Vuong didn't hang herself. If she had, her feet would hang loosely above the ground, but her legs were stiff and pointing straight up, proving she died before being hanged. Moreover, someone who hangs themselves usually shows a protruding tongue and a bluish face." Lam Tu's analysis surprised everyone. Many concluded that she was murdered, not a suicide. The chaotic scene forced the prefect to declare again, "You say the case has many doubts, so Tanthong will be temporarily detained and the trial postponed." Tanthong appeared very confident, believing the magistrate would clear his name. Old Vuong was extremely grateful. Lam Tu repeatedly bowed in thanks for clearing his daughter's name. An hour later at the Magic Institute, Tanthong was released. He sought out Lam Tu to take revenge. "The son of Bin An Ba Lam Din truly knows quite a bit. Because of your blessing, I was detained for 2 hours. Isn't breaking 2 of your ribs a bit much?" Lam Tu panicked, sweating, and asked what he wanted to do. "No fighting is allowed inside the Magic Institute." Tanthong sneered and said that rule doesn't apply outside the institute. He used magic to prepare to attack Lam Tu, but before he could move, his legs were frozen solid and couldn't budge. The one who did this was Trio Linam. Tanthong still shamelessly cited the no-fighting rule inside the institute, demanding Linam release him. Trio Linam sarcastically replied, "Oh no, fighting inside the institute, but this is outside the Magic Institute. Have you lost your mind just now?" Then she kicked Tanthong hard, causing him to spit blood. The kick was as powerful as a nuclear missile kicking up a cloud of dust. Tanthong was thrown over 10 meters away. Trio Linam warned this was just a warning. "Next time, you won't be so lucky." Tanthong bitterly threatened Lam Tu that they would meet again. Lam Tu was curious about Tanthong's abilities. Trio Linam explained it was just low-level magic. Once you awaken again, he won't be your match. After this incident, Lam Tu became even more determined to become stronger. In this world, strength is truly king. Plus, there might be a chance to play the hero, saving a beauty or something. Since I've ended up in this world, I might as well have a legendary story to tell. It was late at night. Lamtu was so absorbed in reading he lost track of time. He felt his knowledge of magic was still too limited. He needed to quickly catch up before classes started. The dog suddenly barked continuously. Thanks to previously restoring power from Haiduang Konuang, Lamtu understood its message. Who was the person hiding in the alley and what did they want? A dart was shot out from the dark alley. Tondai Luke quickly used his body to shield Lamtu from the attack. The attacker charged out, wielding a sword aiming directly at Dailuk. Fortunately, he dodged in time. This was probably the first time Lamtu faced such a situation, and he was panicked, unsure how to respond. He only knew to pull Dailuk's hand and urge him to move quickly. However, the attacker was not willing to let the two leave easily. He kept attacking relentlessly. Seeing this, Dailuk told Lamtu to go ahead while he stayed behind to cover their retreat. As soon as the enemy's sword touched Dailuk, he immediately activated muscle magic. His muscles bulged and hardened like steel, causing the enemy's sword to shatter wherever it struck. The result was a miserable defeat. In the blink of an eye, Dailuk defeated his opponent, leaving Lamtu extremely astonished. He couldn't help but ask again to confirm if it was really over. "That's right, it's over," Dailuk said proudly with a smile. That's all there is to it. He had been dealt with. But that smile quickly faded when Dailuk suddenly passed out and collapsed to the ground. The cause was that he had been poisoned by a dart. At this time, Dailuk was taken back to the Lam residence and was waiting for the court physician to arrive and treat him. Lamtu's father asked him to recall if he had offended anyone recently. Lamtu immediately thought of Tanthong. Just then, the court physician arrived. A girl named Bok Song, who was sent to treat Dailuk. After examining him, she smiled and reassured Lamtu, saying, "Don't worry, he's not at death's door yet." Then she began the treatment process. Her method was very simple, using a mystical technique that emitted a pure blue light, which gradually dissolved the poison in Dailuk's body. Before leaving, she instructed Lamtu to let him rest for a few days and assured him he would be fine. After seeing Bok Song off, Lamtu stood silently deep in thought. He felt that the mystical treatment was truly effective and decided to find a way to replicate it. While lost in thought, suddenly True Linam appeared, startling him. Lamtu hurriedly explained, "Yesterday I was assassinated. Dailuk was poisoned while saving me. Bak Konuang is the court physician who was invited to treat him. I only escorted her out, nothing else. I know I just came to confirm you're safe." Mentioning the assassination, Lamtu asked Linam if Tanthong was behind it. Linam disagreed. She believed assassinating a noble was a serious crime. A petty grudge between two people wasn't enough to drag Tan into it. If it wasn't, Tan, Lamtu considered another possibility. It could be an enemy from before he transmigrated into this world. At Tan residence, Tanthong angrily entered the room, muttering, "Lamtu, just you wait." His face was covered with bruises. As soon as he entered, he saw someone masked waiting. Before he could react, that person threw darts stained with blood all over the room. Tanthong was killed and sent off in an instant. The next day, looking at Tanthong's corpse, Lamtu thought silently that he really meant what he said and got it done quickly. They truly met again so soon. After thinking it over, Lamtu suspected Linam as the culprit. He believed she harmed Tanthong out of anger toward him. Meanwhile, Linam also suspected Lamtu. She thought he hired an assassin to eliminate Tanthong. After examining the body, the examiner concluded the time of death was last night. There was only one fatal wound, a single sword slash to the neck. Master Trifu appeared and declared, "Your suspicions have been dismissed." This case was definitely caused by that female assassin. According to him, this woman had committed many similar crimes. Lamtu was curious. The guard explained she was a female assassin who awakened the stealth mystical technique. The stealth technique lets her hide and move without leaving any trace. Each time she assassinated, she left a few petals on the body. Hearing about the stealth mystical technique, Lamtu suddenly thought of Ahaya. He secretly hoped to be able to replicate this mystical technique. Shifu guessed that the case of Wang Ti had attracted the female assassin's attention, so she infiltrated the Tan residence at midnight. Lamtu felt the actions of this female assassin were truly righteous. He almost called her a knight in front of Chaifu. Luckily, he swallowed the words just in time. Then he asked Chaifu why this person targeted Tanthong. Yesterday, a thief voluntarily reported that when he broke into the house, he saw Tanthong's face full of malice and accidentally killed Wang Ti. This assassin specializes in killing nobles who commit crimes but escape punishment. Hearing this, Lamtu exclaimed, "What a pity for Wang Ti, who died and still had to suffer injustice and dishonor." Since this case involved mystical techniques, Chifu would transfer it to the Institute of Mystical Arts for handling. Knowing Lam Tu stood up to protect old Vuong, everyone turned their attention to him. The old man handed Lam Tu a bag of dried sweet potatoes, thanking him for speaking up for his daughter. "These sweet potatoes, I dried myself, please don't criticize, sir." Not only that, another person brought a basket of freshly steamed buns, advising Lam Tu to eat them while they were still hot. The gift was so generous that Lam Tu didn't know how to accept it. Seeing him hesitate, that person said, "My wife and I have run a street stall for over 15 years. Raising a daughter to adulthood isn't easy, and having her assassinated is truly humiliating. Sir, you are the only one who stood up to speak on her behalf. Please accept these buns." Lam Tu had to accept them but couldn't eat them all, so he shared them with 2 soldiers. He told them to return the basket after sharing. Then Trio Linam said, "Actually, Lam Tu, you are a good person." Those words made Lam Tu feel like he had just received a good person badge. He smiled and said to Lin Am, "I used to give out good person badges to others, now I'm receiving one." Lin Am didn't understand his meaning, but Lam Tu just smiled. While walking, Lam Tu heard the dog say, "I'm so hungry, haven't eaten rice for 3 days. A roasted chicken drumstick would be great." Immediately, the dog sensed the smell of a roasted chicken drumstick right in front of it. Before it could tell if it was real or a hallucination, a large chicken drumstick was shoved into its mouth. The delight made it wag its tail nonstop. Lam Tu happily petted it and said, "Good dog, if you follow me, I guarantee you won't go hungry. Looking at you, you seem destined to be with me. I'll call you Huangbo Lap Cat." Lin Am asked to confirm if Lam Tu really wanted to keep the dog. Lam Tu said, "This dog saved my life. It barked to warn me the night I was attacked." Lam Tu's real intention was to use his animal language ability to gather information. If successful, it would be very effective. At Thenlai Tea, the sudden appearance of many buns made Trifu Sir suspicious. A soldier explained the street vendor is thanking Sir Lam for clearing Wang Thi's name. Shifu Sir thought for a moment and ordered the assassin who targeted Wang Thi to be brought in. Someone questioned Tan Thong is dead. Why? 'Cause more trouble. Shifu Sir said punish the one who confessed so Trung Dongba can have an explanation. Even though Tan Thong is gone, Wang Thi's innocence cannot be restored. Seeing the Justice and Integrity Alliance sign made Shifu Sir think even more. At this time, Lam Tu was focused on cultivating his special skills. Lin Am beside him advised, "I told you to stop cultivating for today. You can't be greedy in cultivation. Rushing causes shortcuts that lose long-term benefits. You've done really well so far." As soon as Lam Tu heard this, he collapsed on the bed, tired, complaining, "Cultivating special skills really drains my energy. My stomach is on strike already." Lin Am told Lam Tu to rest well. She said she would come back to visit in a few days, then quickly left. After Lin Am left, Lam Tu's mother brought in a basket of food. She had asked Dai Lok and learned that cultivating special skills consumes a lot of energy, so she prepared some late-night food to nourish him. Lam Tu was still shy at this point, telling his mother that she didn't have to go to such trouble. But when he saw the food on the table, he couldn't resist any longer. So he started eating heartily repeatedly, praising and thanking his mother. Seeing her son eat well, she was happy and said, "If you want anything else, just tell me and I'll cook it." Hearing that Lam Tu was so touched, he cried. He thought back to the past when he only ate takeout or instant noodles, occasionally meeting friends to eat out. After 2 lifetimes, this was the first time he enjoyed a meal cooked by his own mother. He happily said, "I know, Mom." In the Lam residence's living room, despite being injured, Tondai Luke was still diligently lifting weights. Lam Tu saw this and asked, "Why don't you rest in bed? The Imperial doctor already told you to rest more." However, Dai Luke felt his wound had healed and lying around made him restless. Lam Tu firmly said, "You have to listen to the doctor this time. Without your parents inviting the doctor, your life would really be in danger." Hearing this, Dai Luke said boldly, "Protecting the young master is my responsibility. As long as the young master is safe, my sacrifice is worth it." Talking about this, Lam Tu felt annoyed because every time he was hit by Trio Linam, Dai Luke was always the first to run away. However, Dai Luke explained that he knew Linam would not actually harm Lam Tu, so he did not intervene. While talking, the two heard the old master and his wife discussing outside in the yard. They had calculated that the silver in the house was running low and could no longer support the number of workers. Currently, they decided to give some people a small amount of money so they could find other ways. The list of people working in the house included the gatekeeper, Lo Quinn, the housekeeper, maids, and laborers. Their wages were 2 coins per day for 3 meals. As for Dai Luk, he had no wages for 5 meals a day. Lam Tu looked at the list and was surprised that his family hired so many people. When two workers pleaded to stay, Lum Tu felt this was the true spirit of a family. He thought that being hit by a meteor was not a punishment, but a blessing from the heavens. At 3 o'clock, under the scorching 40-degree sun, Lum Tu and Dai Luk were walking down the street drenched in sweat. Lum Tu seriously said, "Without money, nothing can be done. We must find a way to solve the livelihood problem." Seeing the two standing under the hot sun, a passerby mumbled, "Are these two crazy walking under such strong sunlight?" The other suggested going to Pham Hung Pavilion to find some fun. Hearing this, the first person scolded, "Is he stupid? All the ice in the capital has already been used up." Pham Hung Pavilion was as hot as a steamer basket, with no response. Lum Tu had overheard the entire conversation between the two friends, and what interested him most was the shortage of ice. Immediately an idea flashed in his mind. At a restaurant, an employee was frustrated by the sweltering heat, wondering when this unpleasant weather would end. At that moment, Lum Tu appeared. Seeing him, the employee eagerly asked, "What would you like to order?" Lum Tu took a sip of tea and said, "I'm not here to eat, but to meet your section chief to discuss business." As soon as he finished speaking, the tea in his hand froze and even the table was covered with a layer of cold ice. Meeting the section chief, Lum Tu proposed using his water well for 10 taels of silver per day. The section chief showed enthusiasm. It seems the young master knows this year's weather is scorching. The ice supply in this capital is scarce, and even with money it's hard to buy. With your ability, young master, earning plenty of money is not difficult. 10 taels is probably too low. At least 50 taels would be reasonable. Lum Tu immediately raised the price to 40 taels, surprising the section chief, but then he realized he had misunderstood Lum Tu's intention. At first he thought Lum Tu wanted to borrow the well from Trichwit Pavilion and even asked him to pay. In fact, Lum Tu wanted him to pay him. Seeing the section chief hesitate, Lum Tu turned away and threatened to cooperate with Pheu Hung Pavilion across the street. Hearing this, the section chief hurriedly called him back and agreed to the price of 10 taels per day. But Lum Tu did not easily accept. He raised 5 fingers and said the section chief knew very well the weather this year was very hot. "Ice is scarce, and with my ability to earn plenty of money, 10 taels is too low. At least 50 taels is reasonable." The section chief reluctantly agreed, understanding that keeping Lum Tu at Trichwit Pavilion, even at 50 taels per day, was still a good deal. He also proposed exclusivity, requiring Lum Tu not to supply ice to any other places. Lum Tu was no less competitive, setting the condition that if he wanted exclusivity, the section chief had to pay a higher price. Finally, both sides agreed on a price of 50 taels per day, plus 5 times the market price for each barrel of ice. But when the contract was signed, Lum Tu immediately received 300 taels of silver. Holding the money in his hand, he felt extremely satisfied, but he also reminded that the weather would turn cold and the silver would gradually decrease. At that moment, Tru Linum appeared, startling Lum Tu, who asked, "Isn't your sister-in-law watching me?" Linum didn't answer, but asked back, "Are you short on money?" Lum Tu hugged the money box tightly and said this matter was already very clear. What's the point of asking? Linum raised a bag of money and asked how much he needed. This action made Lum Tu suspicious, but Linum insisted that even if he was greedy for money, he had to consider his status. This would make others look down on the Lum family. Her words made Lum Tu a bit annoyed. He gruffly said he earned money based on his own ability and didn't harm anyone, so he didn't care what others thought. Although Lum Tu said that he still didn't forget to snatch Linam's money bag and walk away decisively. Glancing at her, he thought to himself that if the Zhao family didn't like someone like him from the petty bourgeoisie, they should just cancel the engagement quickly. On the street, a woman holding her child was begging, saying her child was seriously ill and might not survive without timely treatment. Seeing that, Lum Tu didn't hesitate to immediately give her a sum of silver and asked if it was enough. That amount was already too much for her, so she hurriedly bowed her head to thank him. Lum Tu was very familiar with people like her in the Zhao family. She was certain that 80 to 90% of those cases were scams, so she asked Lum Tu if it was worth it. Lum Tu wasn't worried at all. 1 silver bar wasn't enough for a meal at Trichwit Lao, but could save a life, so he felt it was worth doing. After speaking, Lum Tu told Dai Luk to go with him to buy some fabric for Vuong Tam, a servant in his household. He noticed that her clothes were old and about to fall apart. Lum Tu buying clothes for the servant shocked Lin Yam. She couldn't believe he would do that, but Lum Tu treated them like family because they stayed with the Lam household during the hardest times, which was worth more than money. After a tiring shopping trip, the 3 of them went into a restaurant to rest. Dai Luk had already eaten 5 bowls, and Lam Tu was also eating hard chewing while asking Lin Am why she wasn't eating, saying the flavor here wasn't bad at all. Hearing his 4-star rating, Lin Am still firmly refused to eat, then happily commented about Lam Tu. Although you are greedy and lustful, you are kind-hearted and honest, not afraid of power. You really are a good person. Lam Tu replied while eating, your sister-in-law has definitely discovered my good person card, and it's a good person card too. Lin Am still didn't understand what it was, but didn't care. She stood up determined to persuade her father that when her elder sister returned to Guangdong, she would arrange for the two to marry in the Lam household. Dailuk hurriedly ran into the room calling Lam Tu. When he opened the door, cold air rushed out. Perhaps he was practicing a supernatural skill with Lin Am. Dailuk hurriedly reported that someone from the palace had come looking for him. This made Lam Tu quite embarrassed, and his parents were also confused, not knowing if it was a good or bad omen. Lin Am was very sure that nothing serious would happen to Lam Tu, and told the couple to wait calmly for his return. On the way to the palace, a eunuch instructed Lam Tu, when you enter the harem later, you are only responsible for making ice. Don't look at what you shouldn't, don't ask what you shouldn't, and be sure to remember this well. Hearing that, Lam Tu thought to himself that clearly his sister-in-law was stronger, and yet she got to capture a strong and sturdy guy like him. The daughter of the first party marquis was truly noble, but unfortunately he was running Trich and Nguyet Lao. Thinking of this, he sighed. Hearing that, the eunuch glanced sharply at him and asked, are you not satisfied working for the imperial palace? Lam Tu hurriedly denied, you've misunderstood, eunuch. I'm just worried my ability is too low to make much ice. The eunuch told him not to worry. The emperor had already made arrangements. Then he led Lam Tu to pay respects to the noble consort. The noble consort was in a bad mood today, holding a cat and asking the eunuch, who is this man? Your Majesty, in this hot weather, the emperor specially summoned a student from the Supernatural Institute to make ice to cool the ladies. Judging by the eunuch's demeanor, the consort guessed he came from Vin Nin. The cat meowed once, and Lam Tu immediately understood its message too cold. He was surprised to realize that his animal communication skill actually worked with a supernatural beast. When the noble consort realized her guess was right, she became annoyed and said, the empress is truly clever. While the whole palace is like a steaming furnace, she is the first to use ice, probably twice the amount as me. After speaking, the consort turned her back and left, demanding the eunuch and Lam Tu to finish their work quickly or face severe consequences. Having observed the consort for a while, Lam Tu felt irritated and realized she was not a good person. He decided to finish his work quickly to leave this place. At Thien Tu Palace, Lam Tu's ice-making work was nearly done, but since he couldn't touch the water directly, his ice production efficiency dropped significantly after a whole morning of work, and he felt almost exhausted. Just then, a maid brought a plate of grapes to Lam Tu and said it was a reward from Consort Thuk to thank the young master for his hard work making ice. Lam Tu immediately rated Consort Thuk as a good person, much better than the previous consort. He enjoyed a grape and realized it was the best grape he had ever eaten, praising it nonstop while eating. Seeing Lam Tu's expression, the eunuch laughed loudly and explained, of course, it tastes good. This is a tribute from the Western region. Only Imperial Consort Thuk Fi could bestow it on others. Knowing this, Lam Tu invited the eunuch to enjoy it together, saying that they had worked hard following him all morning, so this was a well-deserved reward. After eating, Lam Tu and the eunuch continued their journey to the next location. He wanted to know in advance about any taboos there to avoid trouble. Next, we will go to Tui Dong Palace, home of Princess Manhua, the princess who inherited after Imperial Consort Duke Fi passed away. The eunuch reminded Lam Tu to be careful not to anger the princess. Upon arrival, the eunuch reported, Princess, this humble servant was ordered by His Majesty to bring someone to create ice stones for Tui Dong Palace. Princess Manhua appeared with a displeased look, staring intently at Lam Tu. Their eyes met by chance, and the princess immediately grimaced like a monkey and asked her servant, the imperial physician, do you find that person annoying? The servant was so used to the princess's attitude that she reminded her to put away that expression. The princess obeyed, but instead let out a long yawn and demanded Lam Tu finish the task quickly. After finishing the task, Lam Tu silently blamed himself for only meeting ungrateful women today. On the way, he curiously asked the eunuch if the princess had awakened any special abilities. The eunuch confirmed that the princess had awakened the fire ability. Lam Tu had anticipated this and thought he should stay away from her in the future. Just when it seemed to be over, the eunuch led Lam Tu to the residence of the 9 concubines. At this point, Lam Tu felt as exhausted as a stale noodle. He sadly asked the eunuch, Looking at me like this, doesn't your conscience hurt? The eunuch comforted him not to worry because he had prepared a special gift, taking out a sparkling primal pearl, like a diamond, and explaining that it was a primal pearl taken from a primal beast that can help awaken abilities, nourish kidneys, nourish liver, and enhance vital energy. Anyone who uses it benefits. The mentioned benefits sounded like a kind of elixir, making Lam-Tu feel the eunuch was definitely exaggerating too much. Even now, the eunuch continued to praise the precious value of the primal pearl. This is His Majesty's grace, young Master Lam, you have just awakened, right? This primal pearl is equivalent to a day of hard training for you. If you have the chance to use it, be glad. Hearing it helps cultivation. Lam-Tu immediately paid attention and began to cherish the primal pearl more. By now it was evening. After a busy day that drained him, Lam-Tu was finally free, looking truly exhausted all over. The eunuch also reminded Lam-Tu that from now on, he must remember to enter the palace every other day. He must absolutely not forget this important matter. Counting today, Lam-Tu had earned a total of 15 primal pearls. He silently felt lucky for not suffering a big loss. After walking a few more steps, True Lin-Am appeared and asked Lam-Tu why he was only coming out now. Without waiting for his answer, Lin-Am handed over a money pouch, saying this was the payment from Trich Nguyet Lao, the money she had earned. How could Lam-Tu dare to accept? Although he refused, she insisted on giving it, so seeing that Lam-Tu reluctantly took it. Holding the money, Lam-Tu thought, no wonder many people are willing to be supported by wealthy women. Nothing else to say, but when it comes to freeloading, it's truly perfect. When Lam-Tu asked why Lin-Am came to pick him up today, she coldly replied, your assassin still hasn't been found, and your guards are too weak. Yeah, she was right, but poor Dai Luke, if he heard this, he'd probably cry all night. Approaching the wonton shop, Lam-Tu's eyes suddenly brightened. He invited Lin-Am to come in and eat together. Inside, Lam-Tu immediately ordered 5 or 8 wontons. Seeing him order so many, Lin-Am curiously asked if he could finish them all. Actually, Lam-Tu was so hungry he could eat an entire cow. Busy all day in the palace now, he was finally getting a proper meal. At that moment, Lin-Am suddenly sensed something, but when she looked up at the roof, she saw nothing. She felt it was strange because she clearly sensed a bit of killing intent. Before long, Lam-Tu finished all the wontons. He felt full of energy, able to fight 10 cows if needed. After eating, True Lin-Am personally took Lam-Tu home. This made the 2 masked men hiding on the roof feel uncomfortable. They thought that last time Lam-Tu causing a commotion had made Lam-Tu more alert. They think Lin-Am can't protect Lam-Tu forever. They will definitely find an opportunity to strike. At Thenlai, Lam-Tu thought that after the Magical Arts Institute began, he would have less and less time to come here. Fishing 3 days and drying nets 2 days like this, he feared it would cause public dissatisfaction. After some consideration, he suddenly came up with an idea. 2 hours later, the entire mansion was filled with a cold atmosphere. It turned out Lam-Tu used magic to create a lot of ice. The soldiers felt that Master Lum had changed. Lately, he had been diligent at Thenlai, not only buying breakfast, but also making ice to help them cool off. They were so touched. They cried. Hearing the soldiers praise, someone muttered, just a little favor from him, and they treat him like family already. These noble people are all the same. Seeing Thubantu holding paper and going outside, Lam-Tu called him back to ask where he was going. The reason was that Liu Chusu had a new case, and he was heading to the scene immediately. Hearing this, Lam-Tu told him to sit down and eat some iced watermelon, while he would go to the scene instead. At Vung Vien Wai Liu Tenfeng's house, Lam-Tu and Liu Tenfeng were present. Everyone was actively examining the body in the scene. Liu Tenfeng observed and said the bricks at the scene were broken off. The victim's ankle had wounds. There were similar wounds on the neck and on the flower bed. He concluded that the man died from an accident and told everyone to prepare the funeral for Vung Vien Wai. Lam-Tu was still watching the bird. It seemed he had gathered some information. He then told everyone to stop. Vung Vien Wai didn't die from an accident, but was assassinated. Liu Tenfeng disagreed. He said everything needs evidence. All current clues indicated that Vung Vien Wai committed suicide. What do you have to prove he was murdered? Lam-Tu frankly replied, I don't have evidence, but I know where to start to handle the case. He pointed to a man and said, interrogate him. As soon as he heard that the man ran away, this action proved he was the culprit. Liu Tenfeng immediately ordered someone to catch him. Despite trying to escape, he was quickly captured. In this situation, he confessed that he didn't intend to kill and was immediately taken to the station. The case was considered solved. Liu Tenfeng curiously asked Lam-Tu how he recognized the culprit. Lam-Tu simply answered a guess. This answer left Liu Tenfang speechless. At the main hall of Than Lai Ti, the magistrate asked again if Lum Tu really guessed correctly by luck. Liu Tenfang still didn't understand how that person left no trace. How did Lum Tu know he was the culprit? He guessed Lum Tu had discovered a detail they missed. He thought hard but still couldn't figure out what he overlooked. The detail even Liu Tenfang didn't find made the magistrate find Lum Tu very interesting. At Trungsum Palace, Lum Tu suddenly sneezed. He hadn't slept well last night and wondered if someone was mentioning him right now. The noble consort loudly said, "Even Bak Konung couldn't cure my Nunu. Tell me, what crime did you commit? You harm Nunu like this, come down and receive 30 lashes. Lum Tu Ten spoke up, asking the noble consort to show mercy. I know medicine. Please let me examine Lin Sung's condition. Even Bak Song Song, the genius of the Imperial Medical Institute, has no cure. The noble consort didn't believe Lum Tu could heal her. Lum Tu confidently said, whether there's a cure or not, let's see. The noble consort warned, if you can't cure her, don't blame me if you lose your life. Lum Tu began checking the cat's condition. After several meows, he understood it was saying its leg hurt badly. The princess's leg is about to be crippled. Someone help the princess pull it out. Lum Tu quickly took pliers and pulled the sharp object out of its leg. The cat then happily jumped down healthy again. The noble consort was very pleased and ordered a reward for Lum Tu, a silver needle. Others were also rewarded. Evening came after a hard day's work. Lum Tu finally left the imperial palace. While walking, Bak Song Song called Lum Tu over. She wanted to ask how he recognized that Nunu's leg was injured. Lum Tu hesitated. He couldn't say he understood cat language. He just gave the excuse that it only took careful observation. I don't have any special secret. Hearing careful, Bak Song Song looked a bit puzzled and didn't understand. Seeing this, Lum Tu explained further that when Lin Sung curled her claws and showed signs of pain, he guessed her leg might be injured. After hearing Lum Tu's explanation, Bak Song Song sighed, blaming herself for being unskilled and not recognizing it. Lum Tu continued to comfort Bak Song Song with gentle words. Animals can't talk or describe their illnesses like humans do. I only recognize some signs because I used to raise cats. Song Song, miss, only put yourself down. From Lum Tu's words, Bak Song Song guessed he had studied medicine before. Lum Tu admitted he was self-taught a bit, but still far behind Song Song. After a while of talking, Bak Song Song smiled and said, I only rely on magic. As for Lam Gongzi being so meticulous, if you studied medicine, you'd definitely do better than me. Hearing about medicine, Lum Tu got excited and asked Song Song if she could teach him medical skills. Song Song immediately agreed, saying she spent most of her time at the Imperial Medical Institute. Lum Tu could find her anytime. Their conversation went happily. Both of them smiled brightly as Bak Song Song turned her back and walked away. Lum Tu stood waving goodbye to her. Suddenly, he felt anger and sweat broke out all over his body. This feeling made Lum Tu immediately realize it was true Lin Am. Lin Am asked sternly, Why are you here again, flirting around? Lum Tu was scared and didn't dare look her in the eye, only begging for an explanation. Lin Am said nothing more, just glanced at him in a way that made Lam Tu feel faint. Immediately, he knelt down and offered Lin Am a box containing a hairpin, gifted by the noble consort. Lum Tu said, These days you've guided me in cultivation and even helped me make ice stones at Trich Nguyet Lao. Consider this a thank you. Lin Am shook her head and refused, saying the gift was too precious and she couldn't accept it. Lum Tu didn't insist and said he would keep it or give it to someone else. Hearing that, Lin Am annoyedly grabbed the gift box, saying she'd accept it on behalf of her elder sister. Lum Tu felt Lin Am was truly a sister-obsessed person. He began to be curious about Lin Am's elder sister, mentioned from the start until now, but he still hadn't met her. Looking at Lin Am, Lum Tu guessed her elder sister must be extraordinary. Her beauty probably ranked among the most stunning. At Trich Nguyet Lao, Lum Tu stood before a group of people. He silently rejoiced because he had absorbed a lot of primordial energy these days, significantly increasing his power. Crafting ice stones was also faster. Suddenly, two tall men appeared and grabbed Lam Tu's shoulders. Their looks were unfriendly. Lam Gongzi, our boss, wants to talk to you. Lam Tu was taken inside. In front of him was a table full of food. He looked at the man opposite and said straight, If you've assembled such a big team, just tell me if there's a problem. The man smiled and replied, I invited Brother Lam here to ask you to supply ice stones to our Thien Huang Lao. Trich Nguyet Lo will pay whatever it costs and will pay double. Hearing double pay, Lam Tu held up all 10 fingers. Trich Nguyet Lao wants 1 crate of stones, we pay 50 taels. Double that would be 100 taels. The man choked on his drink, pointing and asking again, 100 taels. Why don't you just go rob them? After regaining composure, he started bargaining. Lam Gongzi, just joking. How about this? I pay you 2 taels per crate, double the market price. Lam Tu asked back, don't I look like someone who knows numbers? The man replied, I know you're the son of Bin Anba. Just a reminder, Thien Huang Lao belongs to the Vin Bin Hao estate, and the lord behind Trich and Guiet Lao is only a son-in-law. You should think carefully about who's more powerful. Lam Tu showed disdain for the man's long-winded words. He didn't care about his background. Without hesitation, he stood up and walked away, declaring the negotiation for today's deal was over. As Lam Tu left, the other man's face revealed a cruel expression. He squeezed the glass in his hand so hard it shattered, then muttered spiteful words. If you don't drink the offered wine, you'll have to drink the penalty wine. I will make you come back begging me, and by then you won't get even 2 taels of silver. Just then a voice from the shadows spoke up, reminding him, Young master, please handle this matter well. Hopefully you won't be like that worthless Chin Tong. Meanwhile, Lam Tu and Dai Luke were walking down the street when suddenly an old man rushed toward them. He grabbed Lam Tu's clothes tightly, shouting loudly, Yo, you broke my ribs. You're not going anywhere. Lam Tu tried to pull away but couldn't. The old man held on so tightly that he felt like his pants were about to fall down. He couldn't believe that even after coming to another world, he still had to deal with such a tantrum. At that moment, soldiers from Dongtanya appeared and approached to ask who was causing trouble on the street. Dailuk Hurley explained clearly that he accidentally bumped into the old man who was scamming people, but the old man still refused to let go, insisting on blaming Lam Tu and claiming his waist was broken. The soldiers didn't listen to Lam Tu's explanation and ordered him to be arrested immediately. Observing the situation, Lam Tu realized that these soldiers didn't seem to stand for justice, but were clearly targeting him. He didn't expect Thien Huang Lao to act so quickly. Faced with the soldiers' arrogance, Dai Luke was furious and ready to fight at any moment. But Lam Tu timely sent him away, instructing that if anyone asked, just say he was at Dongtanya. Lam Tu remained calm, showing no resistance, only requesting 2 officers to lead the way. His easy cooperation surprised the 2 soldiers because it was beyond their expectations. Dailuk also found it strange because Lam Tu didn't look like a prisoner, but rather like someone going to a party. At the Dongtanya prison, Lam Tu was taken in and sat in the cell thinking about having lived 2 lives, but this was the first time he'd been in jail. The feeling was quite new. Soon after, people from Thien Huang Lao appeared, the same ones Lam Tu had refused from the stone-making business earlier. He didn't come alone, but brought along the old man who was causing trouble. Looking at Lam Tu, he smirked smugly. Young Master Lam, I didn't expect us to meet this soon. Lam Tu replied coldly, You bring a scammer and extortionist to confront me, should I be thankful? He sneered, Young Master Lam, are you joking? This old man's leg was also broken by you. How could this be a scam or extortion? Lam Tu knew the old man's leg wasn't broken, but the man had kicked the old man's leg and arrogantly declared, Isn't it broken by you now? The old man acted well, clutching his leg and screaming accusations that Lam Tu had stepped on it. Witnessing this absurd scene, Lam Tu asked the old man, Does your conscience not hurt? Then he turned to ask the other man what he wanted. His goal was still to force Lam Tu to make stone, but this time he lowered the price to 1 silver coin per crate. If Lam Tu agreed, he could leave prison immediately. If not, the man gave Lam Tu a threatening look. Just then, Lam Tu heard footsteps approaching. He smiled mysteriously and said to him, I just discovered something interesting. Do you want to hear it? Curiously, the man asked, What is it? Lam Tu looked at him coldly and said, I see your third eye is pitch black. A bloody disaster is coming. Hearing this, the man became furious and pointed threateningly at Lam Tu. You just stay in this prison until you die, then you won't have a single silver coin left. But no sooner had he finished speaking than a powerful kick struck his face, distorting it. Seeing Lam Tu arrested, Gong Gong was extremely alarmed. He hurriedly comforted Lam Tu not to worry and ordered the door to be opened immediately. Quen Dongthan personally appeared to open the door for Lam Tu and explained that this was just a misunderstanding. I have thoroughly investigated this matter. It has nothing to do with you. You are free to leave now. But before leaving, Lam Tu didn't forget to jab, so I guessed right, didn't I? The situation was clear, but the other man still refused to admit fault and continued shouting not to let Lam Tu go. As soon as he finished speaking, he took another heavy blow, this time, not from shoes but from his own father's foot. After disciplining his son, the man turned to apologize to Lam Tu. Young Master Lam, I sincerely apologize for my son's rudeness. Please forgive him. Things gradually settled down. Gong Gong hurriedly urged Lam Tu to set off. The noble in the palace was anxious and about to lose his temper. Watching the other man being disciplined by his father, Lam Tu felt quite satisfied. He even deliberately said loudly, "Manager Lai is right, we cannot let the noble get angry." Hearing this, the man became even more worried, urging Gong Gong and Lam Tu to leave immediately. "If the noble gets angry, we will all be in big trouble." The man was beaten by his father until nearly exhausted, begging. This was caused by the eldest young master. Mentioning the eldest young master made the father angrier, and he continued hitting him repeatedly. "Manager Lai has arrived. Surely the emperor is waiting for you. If you still dare to detain people and keep associating with them, I'll cripple your legs inside the palace." The hot weather made the noble consort feel extremely uncomfortable. No fan means it's hot, but with the fan, the wind is still hot. The palace maids don't know how to soothe the madam's irritation, so they keep asking if Lam Tu has arrived yet. At that moment, the eunuch led Lam Tu inside. He hurriedly paid respects to the noble consort. Because he was later than usual, the consort showed displeasure. "Coming this late, do you want me to die from the heat?" Lam Tu quickly apologized, explaining that he was delayed by unexpected matters. To calm the consort's anger, he offered to perform magic tricks for her. Lam Tu's magic trick was a combination of ice and watermelon. In just a moment, he created a watermelon-shaved ice that was both cool and sweet. This dish pleased the consort, and she decided to forgive Lam Tu this time. Then she asked him to continue making ice to enjoy the shaved ice. The consort came up with the idea to keep Lam Tu at Trongshan Palace, so she could enjoy cold fruit anytime. However, only the emperor and eunuchs were allowed to stay in the harem. This thought made Lam Tu break out in cold sweat. He quickly refused. "The student is still betrothed to Miss Trio. Thank you for your kindness, Your Highness." Hearing this, the consort felt regretful but didn't insist. Leaving Trongshan Palace, Lam Tu still felt afraid. He realized he had almost changed from young Master Lam to Little Lam. On the way, a palace maid from Tuidong Palace was already waiting. She informed him that this palace rarely used ice but needed her today. The eunuch was asked to come once every 2 days, which was enough. Lam Tu thought Princess Manhua liked heat and disliked cold. Surely this ice was for the palace maids to use when meeting Princess Manhua. She looked at Lam Tu with a carefully appraising gaze. This made Lam Tu sweat even more, because just seeing the princess's chilling magical aura on his body made him uneasy. He told himself to always keep a clear mind. After observing for a while, the princess asked his name. Upon hearing Lam Tu's name, she asked again if he was the son of Lord Bin An, who was betrothed to that lady. The princess remarked that although Lam Tu was handsome, his talent was too lacking. Not worthy of that woman. Lam Tu agreed with the princess's words. He felt it was an accurate judgment. The true daughter of the Trio family was unmatched in talent and beauty. No one in the capital could compare. Except for this face, he had nothing worthy of her. Lam Tu told himself the princess noticed his self-awareness, which was a good thing. But what annoyed her was how he kept praising that woman, even going so far as to belittle others. However, the princess immediately got angry. "Who praised you? You're done making ice, so get out quickly." It was already evening. Lam Tu took a carriage back with Lin Am. On the way, he curiously asked Lin Am who was stronger between her and the princess. Lin Am replied that she was not close to the princess, so they had never compared. The princess's power was fire, which was incompatible with theirs. He should keep a little distance from her. Lam Tu nodded and told Lin Am not to worry, because he knew how to keep his distance. Although they had never directly compared, Lam Tu still believed Lin Am was stronger than the princess. This made Lin Am quite curious. Lam Tu explained that everyone's appearance was unique, but she was dark-skinned and short, and considering their ages, he was much older than her. Lam Tu's words made Lin Am misunderstand that he was calling her old, though that was not his meaning. On the way back, Lam Tu heard melodious singing from somewhere. He guessed someone was performing opera nearby. A carriage passed by. Through the window, a beautiful girl's face flashed briefly, delicate and gentle beauty. The next morning, Lam Tu returned there to find out who had sung last night's song. Entering inside, Lam Tu watched the girls sing and dance. The sound made him feel nostalgic, but even though the singing was good, it still felt like something was missing. Lam Tu called the owner over and asked about how to choose songs. Choosing one song cost a fee of 20 when the owner replied. However, the song Lam Tu wanted to choose was not available. He asked the owner to find a girl so he could teach her to sing. Then she would sing it back for him. This strange request made the owner wary and refuse. Lo Hua Yuan only lets the girls sing songs they already know. But even when Lam Tu offered extra money, the owner still firmly refused, said that this is not a matter of money. Finally, Lam Tu placed a large silver bar on the table. The boss's eyes lit up, and he immediately called the girls over. From this situation, Lam Tu concluded that every problem can be solved with money. If not solved, it definitely means not enough money was given. But when the boss asked the girls if anyone wanted to follow Lam Tu to learn singing, all showed no interest. They said, "We are all pure, so why follow a man to learn singing privately? What if his hands are not clean?" At that moment, a girl appeared and agreed to follow Lam Tu to learn singing. She invited him upstairs. It was the beautiful girl Lam Tu had seen last night. He still remembered those eyes that looked straight at him. The girl led Lam Tu into Le Huayien's private room to learn singing. While the other girls refused, she volunteered willingly. This made Lam Tu curious. He asked if she wasn't afraid he had improper intentions. The girl confidently replied others might, but the young master would not. During the case trial of Thenlai Taiwai was also in the crowd. The young master is fearless. Noble, righteous, and upright, definitely not a despicable person. Hearing that Lam Tu began to teach her singing, he sang the lines first, and Taiwai sang along with illustrative dance moves. People passing under the stage did not see the former beauty. The person on stage sang of a heart shattered by separation, love hard to forget. He sang using blood to harmonize opening and closing the show. Who is the guest? After listening to those melodies, Lam Tu thought to himself that he had finally found that feeling again. Truly grateful for the comfort of hearing familiar music from a distant world. Thinking of this, tears suddenly rolled down Lam Tu's cheeks. He sincerely thanked Lady Taiwai. Because of her singing, Lam Tu's crying after hearing the music surprised Lady Taiwai, but she silently wondered to herself. She sensed that this song carried a strong ancient imprint. It seemed to tell the story of a courtesan like her. But why did Lam Tu shed tears? She still couldn't understand. Then Lam Tu quickly left, promising to return another day to hear her sing. At that moment, Lady Taiwai suddenly felt dizzy, couldn't stand, and fell to the ground. The sudden incident startled Lam Tu, who hurried back to ask about her condition. She only said she felt a little dizzy. When Lam Tu touched her to help her up, he accidentally triggered her special power. Realizing he wasn't capable of handling this situation, Lam Tu decided to seek help. He told her to rest and quickly went to the Taiwai Institute to invite his friend to examine her. Touching Taiwai awakened Lam Tu's awareness of the magical power related to sound. Now he understood why he felt comforted when hearing her sing. When he arrived at the Taiwai Institute, Lam Tu heard loud scolding. "The court supports you for what? If anything happens to the maidens, we will make you compensate." Lam Tu felt he came at the wrong time and planned to leave, but then he was called back. "Lam Tu, you came just in time. Come here quickly and see what's wrong with my maidens." Called by name directly, Lam Tu could only silently sigh. It seemed he couldn't escape anymore. The noble consort immediately explained the maiden's condition. Since yesterday, she has neither eaten nor drunk, showing no spirit at all. Bak Sung Sung checked, but found no external wounds or internal problems. Lam Tu picked her up to check. After a few meows, he understood what she wanted to say. Don't touch this princess. This princess is sad here, so bored. Someone please come save me and take me outside." Lam Tu found the cause of the maiden's illness. Until now, all her activities were confined to Chongshuan Palace, long-term accumulation of boredom. This illness can definitely be cured. Lam Tu suggested the noble consort let the maidens leave the imperial palace to see the vast world. Hearing this, the noble consort's face briefly saddened. She sent a servant to take the maidens outside for half a day. She herself was a bit tired and would return to the palace first. On the way, the noble consort thought silently that in this palace those imprisoned were not just the maidens. After that, the maidens were allowed outside to enjoy the streets. The new sensation greatly improved her mood. Everyone has noticed the change in her since leaving the imperial palace. The illness of the young lady is basically resolved. Lam Tu told Song Song that there was a reason for coming to the Imperial Medical Institute today. He wanted to invite her to help treat someone. Song Song told Lam Tu not to be so formal. Just lead me there. The Huayuan Theater is very crowded right now. Lam Tu wondered why it was so crowded. It turned out to be because this guy was causing trouble. He and some others were shouting loudly, "I don't care how sick the imperial physician is. This gentleman wants to hear the imperial physician sing. We're willing to pay double and still can't get a ticket." Lam Tu immediately interrupted, telling him to stand behind. That guy clapped his hands and laughed, saying, "Young Master Ngo, you brought such a large group. Could it be that you came to arrest me?" He still seemed to be afraid of what happened last time. He trembled in fear upon seeing Lam Tu. He even asked Lam Tu why he was here. Despite his fearful appearance, Lam Tu had to add a few threatening words. Young Master Ngo, your bruises from that beating have healed so quickly. Or should I report today's incident to Captain Dongcheng so he can teach you a lesson properly? Witnessing the scene, he panicked and ran home. He ran while crying out for his father. Seeing young Master Ngo, usually arrogant, so terrified of Lam Tu, everyone around was wide-eyed in surprise. Only Miss Song Song found the scene extremely amusing. Lam Tu was secretly pleased that the guy knew about his connection to the Imperial Palace. Otherwise, it would have been hard to scare him. Then everyone gradually dispersed, offering various reasons. Some remembered they hadn't collected their clothes. Some had stomach aches and needed to use the restroom. After the incident ended, Lam Tu invited Song Song upstairs to examine the Imperial physician. After a while of checking, Song Song diagnosed that the Imperial physician fainted due to exhaustion. She just needed to rest for a bit to recover. Indeed, just a gentle touch from Song Song slowly brought the Imperial physician back to consciousness. Even though awake, the Imperial physician's mind was still a bit dizzy. She curiously asked what had happened. Lam Tu explained that she had just fainted. He had invited Bok Song Song from the Imperial Medical Institute to treat her. Currently, her condition was stable with nothing more to worry about. The Imperial physician felt it was miraculous how quickly she had recovered. Lam Tu said, of course, Song Song's medical skills are no ordinary matter. Seeing the Imperial physician was fine, Song decided to take the young lady back to wait for further orders. To show gratitude, the Imperial physician promised Lam Tu that next time she would tell the owner not to charge him when he came to listen to the singing. Lam Tu laughed and said he considered her a kindred spirit, and kindred spirits are priceless. But he was still willing to pay to enjoy her singing voice. Lam Tu's words made the Imperial physician blush with embarrassment, but she was also happy because of it. He asked if she knew why she suddenly fainted. The Imperial physician thought it might be due to insufficient nutrition. Lam Tu nodded in agreement, but added that the main cause was because she had awakened a special skill. The Imperial physician still didn't fully understand. Lam Tu explained that her singing was better than others simply because she hadn't thought about the special skill yet. Today, she tried a new singing method that consumed more energy than usual, causing her to faint. So that's how it was. The Imperial physician nodded but still felt this special skill was useless. Lam Tu firmly said that was not true. If she could resonate the special skill with certain sounds, she would become the top star of Huadong in the capital. Then everyone would compete to buy tickets to the Huaiyuan Theater. Sounds appealing, but the Imperial physician didn't know how to develop the special skill. Lam Tu promised he would borrow books on sound arts from the Special Skill Institute for her to practice. The Imperial physician blushed and shyly said she didn't want to trouble the young master. She greatly admired her singing voice, and later wanted to rely on her performance to ease her sorrows. Lam Tu laughed and said the Imperial physician had no choice but to accept and promised to always sing for him. When Lam Tu left, the owner said to the Imperial physician, "Miss, this young master is not an ordinary person. I can clearly see he's different from other playboys. This could be your chance to rise up like a phoenix." The Imperial physician replied sadly that the owner was teasing her again. Her status as an Imperial physician was lowly and not worthy of young Master Lam. Just being able to sing a few songs for the young master would make her very satisfied. At this moment, Lam Tu was inside the Imperial Palace. The eunuch announced that the strange weather had finally calmed down. "You can rest for a while. Your Majesty will grant a reward soon." "Remember to thank him," the eunuch reminded. So the long period of stable rice ticket supply was finally over. Lam Tu was feeling quite regretful about this. Upon seeing Lam Tu, His Majesty asked if he was the son of Count Binan. "This month has been hard on you. If you want any reward, you can propose it to me." Standing next to His Majesty was Consort Thuk. His Majesty told Lam Tu to propose whatever reward he desired. This made him a bit embarrassed, unsure what to choose. "No one has ever asked me so straightforwardly what I want. If I ask for too much, they won't accept. But if I ask for too little, I lose out. I want to own a spacious house near the Imperial Palace. But the price of houses like that is not affordable at all." After observing Lam Tu for a moment, Consort Thuk smiled and said to His Majesty, "According to this humble servant, why not gift him a manor near the Imperial City? That way, when His Majesty wants to enjoy aged wine, he won't have to wait long." Consort Thuk's suggestion struck His Majesty as very reasonable. Immediately, he ordered Chukam to go to the Internal Affairs Department to select a manor near the Imperial Palace to give Lam Tu. Yes, this reward truly fulfilled Lam Tu's wishes. This time, we've really grown up. Just one sentence from Consort Thuk saved me tens of thousands of silver taels. I really adore Consort Thuk. At that moment, Consort Thuk laughed. His Majesty saw this and curiously asked why. But Consort Thuk replied there was nothing special. She just thought of something funny. Actually, the reason Consort Thuk laughed was because she had read Lam Tu's thoughts. Her special ability was the power to read others' minds. Only 2 days left until the Magical Arts Academy opens. Lam Tu felt he was still in time to move house. Suddenly, there was such a luxurious house added. For him, it was truly a great bargain. At the Magical Arts Institute, the atmosphere was very lively with many games and various types of magic. The variety of magic made Lam Tu even more excited. He felt like he was about to get rich and that all these magical arts would belong to him. On the other side, people were gathering to admire Princess Manhua. Seeing this, Lam Tu shook his head, thinking those people were too young and inexperienced. They didn't know the true beauty of the Imperial's sister. They treated the young lady like a treasure. Hearing Lam Tu's confusing words, the friend beside him asked about the meaning of Imperial's sister. According to Lam Tu, an Imperial sister must be a beautiful, charming woman with a clear and attractive face. After hearing this, the friend nodded in agreement. I also think the most attractive woman at the Magical Arts Academy is Miss Tan Yin. The friend's words perfectly matched Lam Tu's thoughts. Hearing Lam Tu's name, the friend asked if he was the son of Count Binan, the fiancé of Tianjin Chaora. After confirming, the friend introduced himself. I am Li Bak Chuang. I've heard of you for a long time. The Zhao family even rejected the crown prince's proposal. But Elder Lam was able to marry Fairy Ha Fam. Now entering the Magic Arts Academy in Xiandu truly limitless. You flatter me, Lam Tu replied. Although I awakened the ice magical art, my talent is just average. I've just been struggling in the Imperial Academy. Hearing this, Li Bak Chuang sighed. Same here. I mastered the thunder power, but have only been struggling in the Imperial Academy as well. Knowing Li Bak Chuang's magical art was lightning, Lam Tu was very surprised. The heavenly grade lightning magic has stronger power than ice magic, and Lam Tu really wanted to possess it. Thinking this, Lam Tu laughed and said, Looks like you and I are kindred spirits in suffering. If I don't understand something, I hope you can guide me, Brother Li. Brother Pam, we already feel familiar at first meeting. Of course. Meanwhile, Zhao Lingyin and Princess Manhua were staring at each other intently. Clearly, the two don't like each other. Seeing that situation, both Lam Tu and Li Bak Chuang felt tense. Lam Tu immediately called Lin. Just as she called Minha's name, she glanced at Lam Tu. Her gaze was like a bullet full of killing intent. This situation made Lam Tu very awkward. She looked like she wanted to deal with him immediately. Not stopping there, the princess and Lin continued to glare at each other. The two said nothing, just silently confronting each other. At this moment, Lam Tu felt lucky to have her sister-in-law backing her up to escape this awkward situation. Lam Tu then pulled Li Bak Chuang aside to continue talking. He asked how far the two had discussed earlier. Li Bak Chuang answered honestly. They were just talking about how Miss Uyen Ni was the most beautiful lady in this place. So who is the second most beautiful? And hearing the answer, Lam Tu broke out in a sweat. He whispered, Did we just discuss this topic? It seemed Li Bak Chuang didn't really catch Lam Tu's meaning. Lam Tu wanted to remind him not to bring up women anymore. However, Li Bak Chuang enthusiastically continued. Lam brother also said that besides Miss Tan Uyen Tuyet Ngung Yi was the most beautiful. I share the same view. Besides, Miss Tan Uyen Tuyet Ngung Yi has the most outstanding appearance, figure, and aura. At that moment, Princess Minha stood right behind the two. Her expression was even scarier than before, as if she was burning with anger. She asked sternly, in your eyes, do women have nothing else besides appearance and figure? If not appearance, of course there are other things as well. Lam Tu and Li Bak Chuang answered in unison that the other thing was the soul. At that moment, it seemed a beauty appeared. Li Bak Chuang quickly said goodbye to Lam Tu and left. Seeing that Lam Tu judged that Li Bak Chuang truly was someone who forgets loyalty when seeing beauty. As soon as he sees a beautiful woman, he immediately runs after her. Now only Lin and Lam Tu remained. She reminded him that woman was very dangerous. Don't get close or trouble will arise. Taking her advice, Lam Tu confidently replied that she should rest assured and promise to be careful. At the Mystical Arts Institute, classes began today. Coincidentally, this class also had Li Bak Chuang present. Seeing Lam Tu, he was a bit surprised and asked Lam brother, You also signed up for martial arts class. Can your body handle it? He guessed that Lam Tu must have other intentions for coming here. And his intention was exactly these images. This place was full of beautiful girls. The more they looked, the redder both their faces became. Their faces gradually became blank. Then the assembly order was given. All trainees had to line up properly in a long row. The class instructor spoke up to introduce himself. My surname is Tan. I am the instructor teaching you martial arts. You can call me Instructor Tan. I will train you like my soldiers. If anyone can't handle the hardship, you may leave now." Hearing that, everyone firmly said no. Everyone was full of fighting spirit and determination. "Very well," Instructor Tan said. "Good. Hopefully after an hour you won't change your minds." Attention then, he ordered everyone to disperse and stand in horse stance on the spot. For the horse stance part, everyone had to take off their shirts. Lam-tu revealed bulging muscles that made the girls swoon. Lee Bok-trong also admired Lam-tu's muscles and asked how he managed to train such a body. Lam-tu achieved that thanks to the power of mystical strength, but he only told Lee Bok-trong it was from frequently lifting stones and training with trees. Hearing that, Lee Bok-trong happily continued, "Lam brother is truly outstanding among us. A man must have a strong body. Otherwise, how can he stroll among the flower bushes later, haha?" The reason Lam-tu practices martial arts is to conceal the fact that he knows mystical arts. Strength in a better way. Lee Bok-trong thought Lam-tu was at the first level, but actually he had reached the great energy level. It seemed Instructor Tan noticed Lam-tu and Lee Bok-trong were stronger than the others, so he asked if they had a martial arts foundation before. When he touched Lam-tu, he tried to restore the strange technique from him, but there was no reaction, and concluded that the religious official was a pure martial artist. Answering the religious official's question, Lee Bok-trong said he had learned a little while. Lam-tu said he had never come into contact, just regularly training his body. Knowing that the religious official said next time he would transmit vital energy to the two of them. As long as they can keep that vital energy in their bodies, it counts as entering the martial path. After a hard session of practice, it was time to rest. The boys were all exhausted and collapsed while the girls were buzzing, chatting about Lam-tu. "That young master is really handsome, and his body is perfect too. I wonder if he's engaged. If I could marry him, that would be great." "Stop dreaming. That's Lam-tu, son of Bin Ba, the fiancé of Trio Lin Quan." Mentioning Trio Lin Quan made her quite uncomfortable. She said, "What about Trio Lin Quan? She's not even in Guangdong. Who wins or loses is not certain." Turns out her name is Ngung Ni, also one of the beauties in the Strange Technique Institute. Noticing her attention on Lam-tu, some girls asked if she was eyeing Trio Lin Quan's fiancé. And as expected, for her, love is a concept she doesn't care about. Whoever comes first or later, she confidently declared, "Everyone just wait and see." Trio Lin Quan, though, powerful in strange techniques with a strong family and favored by the emperor, what will happen when her fiancé is taken by me? She will become the biggest laughingstock of Guangdong. As long as Lam-tu loves me, it means I have defeated Trio Lin Quan. The purpose is clear. She began to follow Lam-tu's every move, which gave him chills down his spine. He didn't understand why he always felt like someone was watching him. At this time, class was over. Everyone changed clothes and got ready to leave. Just stepping out the door, Lam-tu suddenly saw her appear and fall into him. When Lam-tu asked, she appeared weak and said she was fine. However, she looked quite struggling, unable to stand steadily, and said she might have twisted her ankle. Seeing that, some friends enthusiastically offered help. Some wanted to support her, others wanted to carry her, but her target was Lam-tu, so she couldn't let others take her home. She then asked those friends if they were strong enough to carry her. This question made everyone freeze, understanding her intent, so they said nothing more. Then she turned to ask Lam-tu, "Young master, could you please carry me home?" This request made Lam-tu a little embarrassed, but he still agreed to take her home. At that moment, Lin Am appeared and said, "Injured ankle, I will take you home." So she was taken home by Lin Am in a horse carriage. Observing the situation, Lee Bok-fwang came over and whispered to Lam-tu, "Lam brother's trick is brilliant. He just captured the heart of one of the 4 great beauties of the Strange Technique Institute." Lam-tu then learned that the Strange Technique Institute had 4 great beauties: Miss Lin Am Princess, Manhua, Miss Uyen Ni, and Tuyet Ngung Yi. But Lam brother, be careful. Countless rich young masters are pursuing Tuyet Ngung Yi, Lee Bok-fwang warned. He also wondered why she actively approached Lam-tu. Even though her strange technique was flight, meaning she could fly, but she deliberately asked Lam-tu to carry her. But from this matter, Lam-tu was sure she had seen him as prey. He thought for a while, then said, "I will let her know that the best hunter always appears playing the role of prey with some strategy." Lam-tu put his arm around Lee Bok-fwang and asked Lie brother, "Didn't we just arrive at the Strange Technique Institute? How do you know everything? Hey. Lam brother, if you want to know about any lady, just ask me." Lee Bok-fwang smiled and said, to learn more about the ladies at the Strange Technique Institute, Lam-tu invited Lee Bok-fwang to the Trichmuet Tower to talk. The two agreed to drink until drunk, and the result was Lam-tu got completely drunk by Lee Bok-fwang. He didn't expect that a little prince who could hold his liquor wouldn't be able to resist Li Bokfong. But upon checking, Lam Tu found he still only had 3 types of strange techniques. He guessed last night the force had taken him home. He felt a bit regretful. If Li Bokfong had taken him home, maybe now he would have the thunder strange technique. But thinking again, Lam Tu told himself that there's still a long way to go. There are still many opportunities to restore more strange techniques. At the Occult Institute Library today, Lam Tu came to find some books about dark occult arts. While the imperial physician was deeply focused on reading, Tuyet Ngung Ni suddenly appeared in front of him. She called out, "So it's young Master Lam, what a coincidence." However, Lam Tu didn't pay her much attention. She then moved closer to Lam Tu and asked if he minded her sitting beside him. Hearing this, Lam Tu said, "The library isn't my personal property, so where do I get the right to complain or mind? Feel free to sit." Ngung Yi started to sit down, trying to pose seductively confident that this posture would surely attract Lam Tu quickly. But an hour passed and Lam Tu still focused on reading without glancing at her even once. Ngung Yi persisted in maintaining her pose with a slight smile, but inside she was full of frustration. She wondered if his heart was made of iron. How could he be so cold? Seeing her sit silently, Lam Tu finally spoke. "Ngung Yi, miss, if you're not reading, why are you staring at me?" Hearing Lam Tu say her name, Ngung Yi was surprised and asked, "You know my name?" Lam Tu smiled. Ngung Yi, the beautiful and talented lady with a far-reaching reputation in the Occult Institute. "Who doesn't know you?" Ngung Yi smiled softly. "That's just rumors, young Master Lam. Don't tease me." Lam Tu then mentioned his engagement, clarifying the matter. "I already have an engagement. If I get too close to you, Miss Ngung Yi, it might cause misunderstandings." Ngung Yi replied, "I know you have a fiancé, but I just want to be friends with you." Could it be that Trio Wing Kun doesn't allow you to make other friends? As soon as she finished speaking, Lam Tu suddenly grabbed her hand and excitedly said, "If that's the case, of course we can be friends. From now on, you and I, Miss Ngung Yi, will be good friends." Hearing this, Ngung Yi was happy, but also a little shy. At the Occult Institute, Lam Tu met Li Bokfong, who teased his drinking capacity. Yet that day, he dared to boast about drinking 1,000 cups without getting drunk. You even challenged Li Bokfong. Looking back, Lam Tu felt truly ashamed. While chatting, Ngung Yi suddenly appeared and said, "Why are you two so early?" Knowing she mainly wanted to approach Lam Tu, Li Bokfong quietly left. Lam Tu enthusiastically greeted Ngung Yi. He said studying can't be neglected, so coming early is natural. Although Li Bokfong had left, he still watched Lam Tu and Ngung Yi from afar. He felt Lam Tu was really extraordinary. He didn't know what Lam Tu said to make Ngung Yi blush and say, "Young Master Lam, you're so naughty." Always saying things like that. Time to focus now. The conversation between Lam Tu and Ngung Yi had to stop. Lam Tu looked at her and thought, she really is a 1,000-year-old fox lamb. Talking about love with me, isn't that just walking into her own trap? Class begins now. Ton Jiaquang asked everyone to focus. He said martial arts only require good physical condition. Anyone can cultivate it. Now I will show you all. Then he called Lam Tu over. True energy is the foundation of martial arts. Being able to cultivate true energy by yourself, like Vuong Wei, is very rare. Most need assistance. He told Lam Tu to extend his hand. Then he transferred a ray of true energy into him. He instructed him to try to guide the ray of true energy to flow inside his body. How long you can hold it depends on yourself. As soon as the true energy entered Lam Tu's body, it immediately reacted. The instructor told him not to resist, but to feel and memorize its path. After a while of adjustment, the ray of true energy gradually disappeared. Lam Tu felt his body filled with strength, as if his veins were cleared. Then the instructor showed satisfaction and praised for a first try. Holding it this long is very good. Practice a few more times and you will soon enter the martial path. However, the red-haired friend showed dislike toward Lam Tu. He approached and deliberately bumped into him, then warned, "Stay away from Miss Ngung Yi. You're not worthy of her." After saying that, he turned and left, leaving Lam Tu confused and not understanding what was going on. He didn't know who that guy was. Master Lam Tu didn't know his background either. So Li Bokfong told Lam Tu all the detailed information. His name is Vuong Wei. He is just the son of a third-rank marquis. He has only awakened a low-grade mysterious spatial ability. How could Miss Ngung Yi just watch them? Regarding Vuong Wei's background, what Lam Tu cared about most was his spatial sorcery. While Lam Tu was thinking about how to restore Vuong Wei's sorcery, Ngung Yi suddenly appeared. She became the bridge between him and Vuong Wei. Sensing the opportunity, Lam Tu decided to take full advantage. He deliberately spoke loudly to Ngung Yi so that Vuong Wei could hear, "Oh, so it's Miss Tiet. What brings you to see me?" "Ah, so you came to bring me some water to drink. This place is remote and the weather is hot. Miss Nguangyi is really thoughtful." Immediately, Vuonghui angrily turned around and challenged Lam Tu. He asked if he dared to accept. His attitude pleased Lam Tu quite a bit. He didn't expect that just a few words with Nguangyi would make him furious. Vuonghui's condition was, if he won, Lam Tu must stay away from Nguangyi. If he lost, he would withdraw voluntarily. After hearing this, Nguangyi worriedly advised Lam Tu not to accept. But she didn't expect Lam Tu to accept the challenge. Still, she firmly advised him to refuse. Deep inside, Nguangyi thought, I want to witness Triu Ling Quan being abandoned by her fiancé and becoming the laughingstock of Guangdou. If you lose and are no longer close to me, my plan will fail. Damn Vuonghui for daring to ruin my grand scheme. Worried, Nguangyi Lam Tu told her not to interfere. This is a fight between men. Hearing that, she reluctantly stood aside, only hoping Lam Tu would win. The match began. Both held their swords, fiercely staring at each other. Vuonghui used the beach now die technique, throwing all his strength to attack Lam Tu. But Lam Tu not only defended but also used his sorcery power. Just one sword move from Vuonghui was chopped off, and he was hit hard on the head by Lam Tu, falling unconscious. Lam Tu didn't expect him to be so easy to deal with. He hadn't even used his full strength yet. The official checked and announced Vuonghui was only unconscious. Lam Tu called for a medical team, but he refused. He carried Vuonghui himself to the Imperial Medical Institute, surprising everyone with his enthusiasm. On the way, Vuonghui regained consciousness and drowsily asked, "Where is this Weidwire?" At that time, Lam Tu's restoration of Vuonghui's sorcery had reached 73%. To avoid interruption, he hit Vuonghui once more in the neck, causing him to faint again. At the Imperial Medical Institute, the doctor said Vuonghui had no serious issues, just needed medicine replacement in the afternoon. The neck injury required additional treatment support. When the doctor left, Lam Tu picked up a vase to test the restored sorcery. The result was he could make the vase disappear and reappear in the blink of an eye. Lam Tu felt this spatial ability was amazing. It made things more convenient when going out. He also noticed the speed was faster than before. He wondered if restoration efficiency related to contact area. While excitedly speculating, Bok Song Song suddenly appeared. But both she and Lam Tu were very surprised to see each other, like they didn't expect to meet here. Then Lam Tu shyly asked if she was also at the Imperial Medical Institute. Lam Tu asked a rather silly question because Song Song always stayed at the Imperial Medical Institute. She should have been the one asking him. At that moment, he silently felt lucky that Song Song didn't see him use sorcery. Almost got exposed. When Song Song asked why he came to the institute, Lam Tu immediately answered that he brought a classmate for treatment and wanted to take the opportunity to learn medicine from her. He expressed that his first wish was to learn pulse diagnosis. Teacher Lam Tu was interested in learning. Song Song began instructing him. She explained the pulse types: sinking, deep, floating, and rapid pulses. Each had different indications. After the theory, Song Song asked Lam Tu to practice by taking her pulse and describing his feelings. She promised to continue guiding him based on the results. Lam Tu started practicing, but actually had no interest in pulse diagnosis. His main goal was restoring sorcery, healing Song Song's illness. However, after trying for a while, he still made no progress. This made Lam Tu feel confused. Song Song mistakenly thought he was worried because he couldn't catch the pulse and immediately comforted him. When you're just starting, you have to be patient. No need to rush. Her enthusiasm touched Lam Tu, but his restoration result was still just a percentage. Lam Tu thought for a long time but couldn't find the cause. Song Song noticed his strange expression and asked about it. At that moment, Lam Tu was troubled because the system suddenly lost signal. Song thought everything was fine after a moment of reflection. He suddenly realized he thought the system hacked to restore others' abilities, but actually restoration was the awakening of his own special skill. Since it's a special skill, it needs to be continuously awakened to increase its limits. Wait for me to awaken for the second time, it will definitely succeed. At that moment, the system notified him that his skill bar was full and requested expansion. Lam Tu held Song Song's hand, thanking her for helping him understand pulse patterns. The atmosphere suddenly turned cold, and Lam Tu realized that AI was coming. He quickly let go of Song Song's hand and explained that he had done nothing wrong. This time, Lin Am did not demand to fight Lam Tu, but said she was worried about him and came over, but then saw him flirting with someone else. After saying that, she turned her back and left. Lam Tu hurried after her, trying to explain that he was just learning pulse diagnosis with Song Song. Lin Am didn't believe him and demanded he swear. Lam Tu said he swore to heaven that he only had a pure master-disciple relationship with Song Song. If there was a single lie, I would... Lin Am interrupted, saying she already believed him. However, she still loudly asked why he didn't continue his oath. Lam Tu worriedly asked if there was no trust at all between them. This question made Lin Am even more angry. She loudly taught him, "Say after me, if there's a single lie, then I will be struck by heaven and won't die a decent death." But faced with that, Lam Tu had to confess, "I just wanted to touch that girl's hand. I'm not at all ashamed." Lam Tu's attitude made Lin Am extremely angry. She scolded him harshly. "You're a man who can't stop yourself. You once promised to keep yourself pure, but now you've broken that promise. Lam Tu, I understand you less and less. Before, when you met AI, you mentioned the engagement with my sister, but now you're flirting all over the place. You even asked if you could cancel the engagement. What do you really want?" Hearing words about keeping himself pure, Lam Tu shyly replied, "Don't take it to heart. It's just the reckless words of a teenager." Suddenly, Lin Am asked directly, "Do you already have someone you like?" Lam Tu didn't dare to look Lin Am straight in the eye. He nodded and admitted, "Yes, I have someone in my heart, and for the rest of my life, I only want to marry her." After hearing this, Lin Am began to guess who Lam Tu's crush might be. Recently, she saw him often going to Lahore Garden, so she suspected he liked some lead actress there. Lam Tu didn't deny it, and even acted shy to make Lin Am believe him more. He thought to himself that Lin Am had already prepared a match for him. If he didn't go along with it, wouldn't that be ungrateful? However, Lin Am, knowing his whereabouts so well, made Lam Tu feel she was a bit strange. Still not fully trusting, Lin Am asked again, "Do you really like that lead actress? How can a lead actress compare to my sister?" Lam Tu replied, "You don't understand love. When I truly love someone, in my eyes, there is only that person. Whether it's your sister or a fairy from the heavens in front of her, they all fade away." However, this reasoning was not enough to soothe Lin Am. She questioned, "If you already have someone in your heart, why did you touch the hand of that female imperial physician? If you already have someone in your heart, why are you fighting in the Special Skill Institute because of Tiet Ngungni?" Even fighting, Lam Tu backed into a corner, painfully asked, "If I say I like all three of them, would you believe me?" Lin Am continued to speculate that Lam Tu liked all the beautiful girls. Lam Tu didn't object and even said, "I just want to bring a warm home to all the beautiful girls." "What's wrong with that?" Lin Am still didn't believe it. She said, "Someone like you? How could you not like my sister? You definitely just want to be wild before marriage." Lam Tu immediately refuted, "What wildness before marriage? I'm not like that at all." Now, no matter what Lam Tu says, Lin Am won't believe him. She warned him that if she caught him flirting again, she wouldn't be so polite. Meanwhile, Wang Wei was slowly recovering, but still had to wear a neck brace. He thought to himself that Lam Tu was too cruel. "If you were going to hurt me, why aim for my neck? Wearing this brace now is unbearably uncomfortable." At this moment, Wang Wei went out to meet a mysterious person. That person sat on a carriage listening to his report. "I had the chance to take him down, but my luck wasn't good." The other person replied once that it was just bad luck. Twice the same, but you can't blame bad luck every time. Looks like I underestimated him. Back at the Lam residence, Lam Tu was bathing and humming a tune. He was quite pleased with the new spatial magic he had just restored today. Although this magic has no combat power, it's very convenient for making some spare money. He thought that when necessary, he could try activating this skill. Even if it can't fight, it's good for self-defense. Speaking of self-defense, Lam Tu recalled the time Ton Dailuk nearly sacrificed himself to protect him. To ensure safety, he decided he must help Dailuk strengthen his abilities. As for restoring magic, Lam Tu promised himself to be more careful. "If my sister-in-law found out like she did today, it would definitely cause a big disaster." After finishing his calculations, Lam Tu continued singing, dreaming of freedom to roam the horizon. Who would have thought getting married early and having kids once dreamed of riding horses through flower forests? Unexpectedly, there's a sister-in-law who doesn't know how to behave. Today, Lam Tu took Dailuk out, but it was unclear where they were going. Notably, Lam Tu even gave Dailuk a whole box of money to carry. Even though Dailuk was curious and asked, Lam Tu firmly refused to reveal anything. At this time, he was fully focused, constantly observing the surroundings as if searching for something. After a while of scouting, Lam Tu finally found the place he needed. It was a place called Tuan Quan. Just a glance from the outside, the place exuded a majestic and imposing aura. Lam Tu paid attention to the price list hung outside the shop. Earth-grade martial artists leading their own energy, 100 tails, no bargaining. 6-month martial skill, training 100 tails. 1 year 100 tails. Back massage 100 tails. After reading it, Lam Tu thought indeed no matter the era skill and ability are still the most valuable and precious things. Meanwhile, Dailuk felt this price list was way too expensive, especially the 100 tails fee for a single energy leading session. Stepping inside the guild hall, the two saw muscular fighters full of vitality. With just one kick, they could easily smash a log. Lam Tu thought no wonder people say the strategies of Earth-grade martial artists rival those of awakened 5 times magical mages. Just then a man approached and asked Lam Tu and Dailuk what their purpose was for coming here. Lam Tu replied, "We came to invite the guildmaster for energy leading. We know the prices and rules, and we have brought enough silver." After hearing this, the man led them deeper inside. Upon entering, Lam Tu and Dailuk saw a lord of the forest lounging in the room. Just a glance made both of them tremble, breaking out in a cold sweat. The man stroking the tiger was the guildmaster named Tran Hung. The tiger was his pet. The guide told Lam Tu that as long as he didn't provoke the tiger, it wouldn't harm anyone. When the guide reported guests arriving for energy leading, the guildmaster shook his head and refused, saying not to bother him. "Aho, the tiger is sick right now. I'm not in the mood for anything." Hearing that, the guide said to them, "You heard it, come back another day." But at this moment, Lam Tu had disappeared. It turned out he had run over to the tiger, sat down, and listened to it. The tiger seemed to be trying to convey that its throat was very uncomfortable. "There's a bone stuck in my throat that's about to kill me. Someone, please help me get it out." Lam Tu confidently told the innkeeper, "I can cure this tiger. Based on my many years of veterinary experience, it has a bone stuck in its throat. Just open its mouth and remove the bone and it'll be fine." Following Lam Tu's advice, the innkeeper opened the tiger's mouth and comforted it not to panic. After a moment of searching, he actually saw a small bone. Note that this action is extremely dangerous and should not be imitated. The innkeeper pulled out a bone a little longer than his hand, and the tiger's problem was solved. The innkeeper happily patted Lam Tu on the shoulder and said, "Thank you, little brother. I was worried all morning without knowing what was wrong with the tiger. Luckily, you found the cause. The 2 men who came for the energy guidance can start now." Lam Tu pointed to the money box Dali was holding and said, "This is a small token of our sincerity." The innkeeper laughed heartily. "No need for silver. When you successfully receive the energy guidance, I won't charge you." Dali was very happy but still seemed shy. Lam Tu quietly rejoiced, thinking that his beast language magic skill saved him hundreds of silver coins this time. He thought to himself that when Miss Hai Duong is discharged later, he will invite her to open a veterinary clinic with him to earn some money. Thinking of this, Lam Tu felt extremely excited, and it seemed that getting rich in this world was not difficult at all. Dali had been standing there like a stone statue all this time, which made Lam Tu unable to hold back and shout. The innkeeper already made it clear. "Why are you just standing there? Hurry up!" Only after Lam Tu's reminder did Dali realize that he came here today to receive energy guidance from the innkeeper. Before that, he thought his young master was the one who would get the guidance. Seeing Dali still hesitant, Lam Tu lightly kicked him in the butt and urged, "If you don't go up, should I go? After all, are you protecting me or am I protecting you?" But soon Dali successfully received the energy guidance from the innkeeper. His speed amazed the innkeeper because after just one attempt, Dali achieved results beyond expectation. After finishing, Dali felt his body filled with vitality. The innkeeper looked at him with regret and said, "If Dali had started training 25 years earlier, his strength would probably have surpassed yours by far." Lam Tu was deeply impressed by Dali's talent. He even wished he could trade places with him once Dali's matters were settled. The innkeeper glanced at Lam Tu and said, "Little brother, your personality isn't bad. Do you want to try receiving energy guidance? It's free too, an opportunity like this." Lam Tu immediately agreed. He even promised the innkeeper that if anything happened to the tiger later, just come find him. Hearing this, the innkeeper was very pleased and firmly told Lam Tu, "If you can't get initiated today, don't come back." The innkeeper's words made Lam Tu even more determined and full of fiery will. And this was the innkeeper's condition after guiding Lam Tu's energy. When his disciple asked about him, he only sighed 20 times exactly. 20 times. "Do you know what I have been through in the past? Watch. I was almost drained dry. It was truly traumatic." But meanwhile, Lam Tu kept training diligently. After that energy guidance session, his power increased significantly. Although he hadn't yet reached the level of a punch that makes a cracking sound like Ling Yin, the results were still good. Lam Tu began dreaming of reaching the highest realm, cutting mountains and breaking clouds a single finger, severing rivers so that Ling Yin would no longer be a match. By then, Ling Yin's sister-in-law would have to obey him. Lost in imagination, Lam Tu laughed loudly, not realizing Ling Yin was standing right behind him, watching his expression. Guessing he was thinking something mischievous. Ling Yin spoke up. "What are you thinking? Come with me." Lam Tu was surprised to see Ling Yin appear at this time because this was supposed to be her training time. Ling Yin explained, "You've been progressing very fast lately. Training once every 3 days is no longer effective. Come with me. I'll take you somewhere else." Ling Yin's enthusiasm made Lam Tu a little worried, but he still couldn't guess what was about to happen. The place Ling Yin wanted to take him was the Heavenly Academy, which was only for the top 10 outstanding geniuses. Lam Tu felt that as a student of the Imperial Academy, it would be difficult for him to enter this place. "Don't worry," Ling Yin reassured him. "My sister is the real genius. I've already gotten permission from the dean. You can enter now." As soon as he stepped through the gate, Lam Tu felt freezing cold, shivering. He asked Ling Yin, "So cold here. Do you usually train here?" Lin didn't answer, just ordered him to stop talking nonsense and quickly go inside. The two of them training room had an ice bed with a few penguins around it. Seeing Lin about to sit on the ice bed, Lam Tu quickly objected. "If you want to send me off to the King of Hell, just say it straight. Don't make me sit on this bed." "Yes," Lin replied coldly. "You can sit next to the training bed with me. No one is forcing you to sit on the bed." Hearing that, Lam Tu breathed a sigh of relief and joked, "Why didn't you say so earlier?" Watching Lin sit comfortably on the ice bed, Lam Tu thought to himself, "Sitting directly on that, won't your bottom freeze solid? My sister-in-law sitting on the bed looks really comfortable. Maybe next to the bed isn't that cold either." But in reality, he only felt a cold chill shooting straight to his brain. Lam Tu's bone-chilling cold expression made Lin quite pleased. She thought to herself, "I don't believe that in this state you still have the energy to flirt around." At that moment, Lam Tu really didn't expect such a small, mystical ice bed could drain him so much. The bone-deep cold made it almost unbearable for him. After sitting a while, he asked Lin if he could rest a bit. Lin smiled slightly and replied, "Rest. What's more important, strength or rest?" A few days later at the Mystical Arts Institute, Lam Tu looked noticeably more lifeless. When Gung Yi suggested he go boating on the lake, he immediately refused, complaining that he wasn't feeling well today. Then Bok Song Song asked if he wanted to discuss medical techniques, but Lam Tu still shook his head, dragging his heavy steps and saying he was too tired. Not stopping there, another girl invited him to listen to singing, but Lam Tu no longer had the mood. "You don't need to say more. I don't have those worldly desires." Now Lam Tu was completely exhausted, tears flowing inward as he silently lamented when this life would finally end. 3 days ago, it was once every 3 days. Now it's 3 times a day. Back home, Lam Tu immediately collapsed onto the bed, continuing to complain that these past days Lin had drained all his strength, leaving no time to even study the mystical sound arts notebook for the imperial physician. After enduring Lin harsh training, I'm just a bit away from awakening once again. The next morning upon waking, Lam Tu heard loudly that Lin was looking for him. It seemed he had gotten used to her training intensity, so he immediately started moving, preparing himself mentally. He thought to himself, "It's okay, strength means freedom to ride and roam. Lin can torment me as much as she wants." But things didn't go as he expected. Today, Lin came to inform him she would have to leave for a while. Hearing this, Lam Tu immediately looked unusually excited, even overly joyful. Opposite to Lam Tu's expression, Lin irritably instructed, "My mother wants to visit relatives at home. I must go with her. I will leave the capital for a while. You have reached a calm state. No need to train these days. When I return, I might be able to help you awaken again." Master Lam Tu was overly joyful. Lin curiously asked, "Why are you so happy?" Lam Tu dared not say the truth that he was happy because she was leaving, so he quickly replied, "I'm just thinking about some happy things." Before getting in the carriage, Lin reminded him again during the time, "I'm not here. You must not go out flirting, so I can rest assured." Lam Tu raised his hand to swear. "Lin don't worry. I will definitely behave well at home," but in his heart, he thought differently. Well behaved at home. Yeah, right. At Lei Hua Uyen, the imperial physician was sadly thinking about Lam Tu because he hadn't come to listen to her sing for days. She thought the young masters of the capital only had fleeting interest. These days liking the imperial physician, then after a few days liking the palace doctor, then Yi Wai. Maybe that young master has already forgotten about me. Just then, Lam Tu suddenly appeared excitedly, saying, "Imperial physician, look what I brought for you." Seeing Lum Tu arrive, the imperial physician was overjoyed, her expression full of happiness. Lum Tu Ten held up the notebook and said, "This book contains detailed introductions to the mystical sound, arts, and records musical pieces to improve cultivation. You can take a look and copy one for yourself." This notebook was like a treasure to the imperial physician. She held it close, moved to tears. She asked Lum Tu, "How can I thank you, young master?" Seeing her tear up, Lum Tu gently wiped her tears and said, "Your singing has helped me relieve a lot of pressure and loneliness. This is the best way I can repay you." The imperial physician hesitantly asked the young master, "You have helped me a lot, but I still don't know your full name." Lum Tu immediately replied, "I am Lum Tu." Hearing his name, the imperial physician was startled and asked, "Are you the young master Lum Tu, who is betrothed to the eldest miss of the trio family?" Lum Tu was surprised and confirmed, "That's right. You know about this too." The imperial physician knew this well. That young lady is a rare genius whose future is tied to the fate of the great Xia. The imperial physician was always curious about which man would be worthy of marrying her. Unexpectedly hearing this, Lum Tu continued the physician's words, "Now that you've seen me, do you think I'm not worthy of her?" But the physician's meaning was not like that. She always admired Lum Tu's talent. Why wouldn't he be worthy? Hearing this news, the physician felt a little sad and said, "You and Miss True are a perfect match, truly a match made in heaven." But from the physician's expression, Lum Tu guessed she had developed some affection for him. So Lum Tu began to imagine a happy couple in love with the imperial physician. But the dream didn't last long before the image of Trio Linum appeared in his mind. That scene wasn't very pleasant. He feared if Linum found out about this, she would beat him badly. Seeing Lum Tu dazed and silent, the imperial physician waved her hand to bring him back to reality. "Ah, so it's Miss Taiwei." "I'm fine, just momentarily lost in thought." Thinking of Linum made Lum Tu scared. He realized the imperial physician simply wanted to avoid having Linum break her legs. He decided to wait and develop further. After breaking off the engagement with the trio family, Lum Tu thought he would definitely win over the physician. At the martial arts class, the instructor was quite pleased when he learned Lum Tu had successfully led his energy. He said it was not bad. "Since you have successfully led your energy, the teaching content from now on must be adjusted. Normally, with enough practice, you can choose a weapon that fits your hand and try using your energy to cover it." Following the instructor's advice, Lum Tu chose a knife for himself. While examining the knife, Ngung Yi suddenly stood right in front of him, holding out an invitation card and said, "In a few days, it will be my 18th birthday and I will hold a party at my house." She asked Lum Tu this time, "You won't refuse, right? A few days ago, I was really too busy and reluctantly had to refuse you. This time for Ngung Yi's birthday, I definitely won't refuse, I promise." After saying that, Lum Tu muttered to himself, "Don't worry, I will give her a gift so big she'll never forget it." While at it, Lum Tu asked her about Vung Wei these days. "Has he come to bother you again?" Hearing this, Ngung Yi acted coy and shy. "You still talk like that, making me worry about you." "What is there to be afraid of? Didn't I already win? I don't have to leave your side." "But it's strange. Before Vung Wei always surrounded Tun Wen. So why is he betting with you for my sake this time?" Ngung Yi's question made Lum Tu feel like he understood something, so he started to ponder again. Seeing Lum Tu holding the invitation, Li Buk Chung appeared and asked, "Is this Ngung Yi's invitation card?" But with Li Buk Chung's speed for gossip, Lum Tu had to admit nothing could get past him. Not only that, Li Buk Chung also praised Lum Tu's clever tactics. "He really admired you." Lum Tu didn't think it was anything special. He asked Li Buk Chung if she didn't give you the invitation. "That's obvious. The birthday of the precious gem in the hands of Duke Tiet Vaudao's mansion can't just be attended by anyone. There are many people like that. If you got the invitation, it's only you." Hearing that, Lum Tu curiously asked about Vung Wei. Buk Chung guessed he probably did since his father is Marquis Kwang'an. Logically, he should have an invitation. But last time Vung Wei lost the bet to Lum Tu, Li Buk Chung guessed that even if Ngung Yi gave him an invitation, he wouldn't have the face to attend. Everything Lum Tu and Li Buk Chung said, Vung Wei overheard it all. He muttered to himself, "Can't you keep your voice down when talking about others?" "I heard everything." After class, Lum Tu and Li Buk Chung went together to Trick Nguyen Lo to eat. But when they arrived, Lum Tu refused to go inside. He just stood dazed outside staring. Seeing this, Li Buk Chung had to urge him, "Hurry up and get inside. Why just stand there?" At this point, Lum Tu gently probed his opinion and suggested, "Eating at Trich Nguyen Lao all the time is boring. How about we try going to Thien Huang Lao?" Hearing Thien Huang Lao mentioned in Li Bok Trong showed hesitation. He advised that other taverns are fine, but Thien Huanglao should be avoided because it belongs to the Marquis of Vinbin Mansion. The Marquis of Vinbin has personally visited the Zhao family many times to propose marriage to Zhao Lingquan for his son. However, each time the Zhao family refused, citing a prior engagement. But the power of the Marquis of Vinbin is not insignificant. Marquis Quangan Chungdung Batan Iba, along with Dongten Ling and Dongten Wei, are all his subordinates. With such tangled connections, even if the manager of Tian Huanglao welcomes you, would you dare to eat comfortably? Because the young master Ngo, who previously deliberately provoked Lam Tu, also came to Trich and Guetlao to dine today. After eating, he felt the food here was rather ordinary, not comparable to Tian Huanglao. He was regretting how badly things went last time. He no longer had the face to return. The young master was muttering to himself when suddenly he saw Lam Tu right in front of him. Every time he saw Lam Tu, he turned pale with fear over past events. Lam Tu, on the other hand, acted very friendly. He waved and smiled. "Hello, young master, we meet again." Startled, he immediately became defensive and asked, "What do you want?" "I haven't provoked you lately." "Oh, don't be afraid. I have no intention of harming you. I just want to ask you something. I know last time you were instigated by others. So can you tell me who was behind it?" Hearing Lam Tu's question, he acted confused about what he was talking about, but said, "I really didn't expect you to be so loyal." Lam Tu said, making him hurriedly explain, "I just often go to Tian Huanglao to eat. I have a good relationship with the manager. You helped Trich and Guetlao make ice and stole their customers. I was displeased and wanted to teach you a lesson." Lam Tu listened, and his tone became sterner, full of warning. "If you act on your own, like that, don't blame me. It just so happens His Majesty summoned me to the palace tomorrow to make ice. I will break 3 of my own ribs and tell palace officials that you knew I wanted to enter the palace but deliberately severely injured me. You better prepare your funeral. Have a good meal. Hey, good luck." Lam Tu's words scared young Master Ngo so much he screamed in terror. He didn't know what to do except curse Lam Tu shamelessly. But no matter how much he cursed, Lam Tu paid no attention. He left, reminding him to say goodbye to his family. After a few steps, he grabbed Lam Tu's sleeve and confessed everything. Actually, it was young Master Xuan Duong from the Marquis of Vinbin who instigated it. "I was framed. There is a mastermind. You go find him. This has nothing to do with me. Today at the Duke of Tiat's mansion is Gung Ni's birthday. Everyone attending brought precious gifts. The Marquis of Vinshuan gifted a pair of jade Ru Yi. Young Master Tran Van of the Marquis of Kulok gifted a peepa lute. Miss Ngok Bitch Trun Boy of the Duke of Tron gifted 10,000 taels of silver. When it was Lam Tu's turn, he didn't bring anything. The gatekeeper noticed and asked where the young master's gift was. "My gift is quite special. I will personally give it to Miss Ngong Ni later." Hearing this, the gatekeeper invited him in. "Please, young Master Lam Tu of Binan Mansion." Inside, Ngong Ni is surrounded by men trying to win her favor. Seeing Lam Tu arrive, Ngong Ni immediately left them and came to greet him. Her appearance today left Lam Tu mesmerized. He complimented that tonight she was more beautiful than ever. Lam Tu's praise made Ngong Ni blush. She told him he was flattering her. Then a man interrupted, asking, "Ngong Ni, who is this young master? Why haven't I met him before?" Ngong Ni introduced, "This is young master Lam Tu of Binan Mansion. He is a good friend of mine." Knowing Lam Tu's background, the men showed contempt. They thought to themselves that he was just the son of a third-rank official. Nothing worth worrying about. After a while, everyone suddenly remembered that Lam Tu was actually Tru Ling Quan's fiancé. Immediately, envious gazes from all around focused on him. At this moment, Ngong Ni also began introducing the young masters present to Lam Tu. "These are the 2 young masters of the Duke of Weiguo's residence, Wei Van Vian," she said, "and this is the eldest son of the Duke of Kiguo's residence, Chithan Tiu." Lam Tu looked at those faces and felt they were no different than ordinary fish in a pond. Yet they always acted arrogantly as if they were great figures. Not stopping there was another young master who seemed somewhat better than the others, the eldest son of the Marquis of Vinbin's residence, Duong Tuyen. Lam Tu also ranked him among the seafood fish like the others, but he guessed this fish was probably a bit more high class. Despite that, Lam Tu politely greeted Brother Duong. "I have admired you for a long time. We are all friends of Miss Ngong Ni. I will look after her more from now on." Then the other young masters began showing off the precious gifts they had given Ngung Ni. "This is the Bright Moon Pearl. I sent someone to bring it from the western region. This is a birthday gift for you," one said, mentioning the Bright Moon Pearl. Another, looking disdainful, then presented a box declaring it was his gift, containing a large sparkling premium primal core. Everyone was amazed by this precious gift. Oh my, this primal core can help Miss Ngungni increase her cultivation level by at least 1. This must be a level 5 exotic beast, primal core, someone exclaimed. Lam Tu couldn't help but covet that primal core, thinking about the lower level cores he had used before that only increased cultivation levels. While a high-level primal core like this could boost the awakening rate, this really is a treasure that's hard to buy even with money. Lam Tu secretly acknowledged that these brothers were truly extravagant, willing to spend large sums just to win over the woman of their dreams. After showing off their gifts, they then focused their attention on Lam Tu. Young Master Lam of Binan, what gifts have you brought for Miss Ngungni? I see you entered empty-handed. Surely you didn't come unprepared. That wouldn't be good, someone asked, worried Lam Tu would lose face. Ngungni immediately intervened. Young Master Lam's gift was sent a few days ago already. I really like it. At this moment, Lam Tu reached into his robe and took out something, saying he had prepared a special gift for her tonight. When Ngungni asked what it was, Lam Tu held up a tube and shot a beam of light into the sky. At first, it was just a faint flicker of light that looked quite funny. The others laughed so hard they were clutching their stomachs and tearing up. Is this the special gift you gave Miss Ngungni, just a firework? But Lam Tu's gift didn't stop there. Soon after, many beams shot up into the sky from below, creating a dazzling, magnificent fireworks display. Ngungni showed great delight at the gift, continuously marveling at the beautiful sky without blinking. Meanwhile, the men acted indifferent, thinking fireworks were nothing special and not worth much, at most costing 10 taels. Still, all the young ladies here loved it and praised its beauty. The happiest person at this moment was Miss Ngungni. She shyly thanked Lam Tu, saying it was the best gift she had received today. It wasn't by chance that Lam Tu gave Ngungni this gift. It was all part of his strategy. If she had little experience, he would help her see the beauty of life. If she had gone through hardships, he would take her to ride the carousel horse. Lam Tu believed that pursuing a girl required romantic gestures. Just throwing money around would only make him seem like someone who treats money like trash. At this moment, Ngungni probably truly had feelings for Lam Tu. She expressed a little regret, saying if you weren't the son of Binan, that would be so much better. But due to the loud fireworks, Lam Tu couldn't clearly hear what she just said. When he asked again, Ngungni just smiled and said it was nothing. The party was almost over now, leaving only the eldest son of the Marquis of Vinbin's residence, Duong Tuyen, and Lam Tu. He spoke up praising Lam Tu's gift, saying it was truly unique and that it was obvious Miss Ngungni liked it very much. Lam Tu no longer pretended. He bluntly said that there were only the two of them here, and his brother didn't need to put on an act anymore. I know well that the trouble at Thien Hang Manor was orchestrated by you. Vuong Wei's challenge to me was also your plan, right? And Trung Dong Ba is your father's subordinate, so the fact that Tan Thong came to provoke me was arranged by you too, wasn't it? After hearing this, Tuyen Duong's face remained as cold as ice, and he calmly replied, Brother Lam, I don't understand what you're talking about at all. Lam Tu sneered. If you don't understand, then forget it. Your plan isn't bad, just that the people you used are still too inexperienced. Haha, work harder next time. Although Lam Tu spoke clearly, Tuyen Duong still acted innocent, as if everything was just a misunderstanding. Lam Tu then raised one finger, deliberately provoking him. I really enjoy seeing you dislike me, but can't do anything about it. After saying that, he walked away without looking back. Outside, Dai Luk was already waiting. The two exchanged a few words. It seemed Lam Tu had asked Dai Luk to prepare some things which reportedly cost quite a bit. When Lam Tu left, Tuyen Duong finally revealed his anger. He thought to himself, I originally intended to let you enjoy a bit longer, but if you want to die early, then I will make it happen for you. Lam Tu, just wait. Lam Tu returned home and focused on the Yuan crystal in his hand. He thought that spending 100 taels of silver on 10 level 2 rare beast Yuan crystals was definitely not cheap. Today, Lam Tu deliberately provoked Tuyen Duong, knowing he wouldn't be able to stay calm and would make a move again. Lam Tu realized that only strength could protect himself, so he decided to begin his second awakening. Immediately, he began absorbing the Yuan crystal. This process required a lot of energy and resources and was not simple at all. Lam Tu nearly succeeded, but the energy from one Yuan crystal was still insufficient. Fortunately, he had prepared enough in advance. The next morning, Lam Tu's big dog was dreaming about a chicken drumstick when it heard someone call its name. It thought to itself, who's talking? Is there a second dog in this yard? Lam Tu heard this and slapped it, scolding, who's the dog here? The organization has assigned you a task. Do it well, and you'll get a chicken drumstick. On Tuyen Duong's side, his subordinate reported to the overseer of Binan Ba's mansion that after the National Duke's banquet, Lam Tu hadn't left his house for 7 days straight. Only the big dog went out to hunt for food. Tianduang's face turned pale after hearing this, but he still ordered to continue monitoring. At Lam's mansion, Lam Tu was bored sitting and listening to Dai Huang's report. Upstairs in the tea house outside the mansion, someone was watching the back door, which was quite safe. Lam Tu was waiting for people from the palace to arrive. If they didn't come soon, he thought he might just die here. At that moment, footsteps sounded, and the person he was waiting for finally appeared, Song Song. Song Song was surprised to see Lam Tu waiting and asked, "Are you waiting for me, sir?" Lam Tu didn't answer, but guessed, "Did the noble consort send you? The rare beast's illness has relapsed, hasn't it?" Just as Lam Tu said, Song Song came because of the rare beast's illness. Lam Tu continued, "Its illness is psychological. It can't be cured by just one palace visit." Song Song admired him, saying, "Sir, you are truly subtle and thoughtful. Even though it was just the illness of a rare beast, you put yourself in its situation to think about it." Song Song felt ashamed compared to Lam Tu. "Tell Song Song to wait in the palace. You need to pack up at the back door of Lam's mansion." Lam Tu carefully observed his surroundings to make sure no one was following him. He trusted Dai Huang because the back door really was as safe as it reported. Meanwhile, the watcher at the front door was still waiting. But all they saw was the dog going in and out. Dai Huang thought, has the master also turned into a dog? Otherwise, how could he understand dog language? Lam Tu had entered the palace to pay respects to his majesty and the noble consort. Upon seeing Lam Tu, the noble consort hurriedly called him over to check on the little one's condition. She worriedly asked why it was so weak. His majesty, on the other hand, looked surprised and asked Lam Tu if he really understood medical knowledge. Lam Tu humbly replied that he didn't know medicine. He had only raised cats and dogs before, so he had some basic understanding of animal behavior. Hearing this, his majesty requested Lam Tu to treat the noble consort's pet and promised generous rewards if successful. To do this, Lam Tu suggested the noble consort prepare a quiet room. This request was immediately approved. As soon as he entered the room, Lam Tu gently patted the pet's rear, telling it not to sleep, but to wake up. Suddenly awakened, the pet shouted, asking who was touching its rear. Lam Tu frankly admitted that he was the one who did it. When he discovered Lam Tu could understand his language, the spirit beast was surprised and asked, "You can hear and talk to me. Could it be that you are also a tiger?" At this moment, Lam Tu realized that the spirit beast was actually a tiger, not a cat, as he had mistakenly thought. The spirit beast angrily struggled and kept insisting, "I am Bai Lin, a noble tiger of the tiger clan, not a cat. It was those bad people who captured me and forced me to live like a cat." Sensing the spirit beast's frustration, Lam Tu comforted him. "I understand how you feel. I will help you communicate this." The spirit beast happily asked, "You're quite understanding, so can you come play with me often?" Lam Tu agreed, but on the condition that the spirit beast must obey him and act out a play together. Meanwhile, the noble consort and his majesty were still standing outside the room, anxiously waiting. When Lam Tu carried the spirit beast out, the noble consort hurriedly asked about the baby's condition. Lam Tu seriously asked, "What do spirit beasts usually eat?" A servant quickly replied, "We always prepare the freshest, best pieces of fish, never careless." Lam Tu shook his head. Food is the real problem. Although this spirit beast looks like a cat, it's actually a tiger, and it doesn't like eating fish. Besides, eating the same thing all the time will bore anyone. The noble consort asked, "Then what should we feed it?" Lam Tu suggested, "Your Highness could give it chicken and beef along with some green vegetables. Meals should be varied to stimulate its taste buds." The noble consort immediately ordered food to be prepared according to Lam Tu's advice. When given new dishes, the spirit beast seemed very pleased and ate heartily. Seeing the situation stabilize, the noble consort asked Lam Tu, "Do you want to stay beside me?" His majesty laughed and interrupted the noble consort, "Anyone can, but not Lam Tu. I will grant him a pass to enter the palace every other day to take care of the spirit beast." Thanks to his majesty's intervention, Lam Tu avoided becoming a junior eunuch. However, the noble consort was still not completely reassured and asked Lam Tu if the spirit beast might get sick again. Lam Tu replied, "Your Highness, the food is only part of the cause. I've already told Your Highness about the origin of the illness before." The noble consort worriedly said, "I let Lin Lung take it out often, but it didn't help." Lam Tu suggested, "If Your Highness personally takes it out of the palace, things might be different." Hearing this, a guard angrily scolded Lam Tu, "How dare you disrespect the noble consort whose body is worth 1,000 gold pieces? If anything happens, who will take responsibility?" Lam Tu quickly knelt down and admitted his mistake. I didn't think it through carefully. Please punish me, your majesty and your highness. The noble consort was very eager to go out. As soon as she hinted, his majesty immediately agreed. Then he ordered the guards to escort the noble consort. He also gave detailed instructions to act discreetly and not let the conservative ministers know about the noble consort leaving the palace to avoid them filing complaints. His majesty's gesture greatly surprised Lam Tu. He didn't expect such a majestic ruler to be so afraid of his wife. After everything was arranged, Lam Tu asked permission to return to the residence to prepare for meeting the noble consort. Half an hour later at the Trich Nguyen Pavilion gate in front of Lam residence, the scene was still bustling as usual with lots of people coming and going. Lam Tu's big dog, Dai Huang, loyally sat guarding the gate. Upon arriving home, Lam Tu secretly called Dai Huang in to ask if the watchers were still outside. As expected, they were still silently standing there, unwilling to leave. This made Lam Tu quite pleased. A cunning smile appeared on his face as if he was ready to set a trap. After careful planning, Lam Tu confidently walked out the main gate, no longer sneaking like before. Seeing him appear, two watchers hurried to report to their master. Yes, according to plan, Lam Tu and the noble consort met in front of the Trich Nguyen Pavilion. The noble consort told him to call her madam to avoid drawing attention. At this moment, she seemed very happy and praised Lam Tu for being right. After bringing the baby out of the palace, it has become much more lively. The noble consort's spirit beast also winked at Lam Tu, as if asking for his opinion on its behavior. Lam Tu responded with an approving wink. Although eager to leave the palace, the noble consort truly didn't know what to do. Lam Tu immediately suggested she carry the spirit beast for a stroll around the city for an hour, as a casual recreational activity to lighten her mood. The noble consort asked in surprise what a stroll meant. She had never tried it before. Lam Tu explained that a stroll means freely walking the streets of the capital city. You can look at whatever you want and buy whatever you want. Before long, the noble consort found something she liked, a hairpin. She exclaimed she had never seen such jewelry before. The seller enthusiastically introduced these as the latest designs and invited the noble consort to try them on. Within just 3 seconds, she was pleased and decided to buy it immediately. It had been a long time since the lady had been this happy. The bodyguard silently reconsidered Lam Tu, thinking that although he was a bit rough, he had inadvertently done a good deed beyond just the hairpin. The noble consort also bought many other items. To the point the bodyguard had no hands left to carry things by noon, he suggested the noble consort go to Trich Nguyen Pavilion for a meal, as he heard the food there was very good. The noble consort agreed immediately. However, Lam Tu had another suggestion. There was a small eatery recently that made delicious Jiangnan dishes. Would the lady like to try it? Mentioning Jiangnan cuisine, the noble consort thought for a moment, then nodded in agreement to go to that restaurant. The bodyguard was somewhat worried. Such a small restaurant with many strangers passing by might not be safe, but the noble consort insisted, "No one knows my identity. We are just ordinary people here for a meal." At the Jiangnan restaurant, many dishes were served: salty water duck mantis, shrimp with horse hoof cake, and candied ginkgo nuts. Just one bite made the noble consort feel extremely satisfied, as if the flavors of her homeland were flooding back. She intended to compare it to palace food, but quickly corrected herself. There were Jiangnan chefs at home, but the dishes served were always cold. It had been a long time since she tasted this flavor. Lam Tu smiled, advising the noble consort to eat her fill. She was also very pleased with the meal and praised Lam Tu for knowing how to please others. Perhaps this was a day the noble consort would remember forever. But everything was carefully observed and recorded by someone. In an instant, all details were reported to Duong Tuyen. Lam Tu was sweet-talking a noble lady on the street. That lady was not only beautiful, but also exuded a noble aura. After the meal, the two discussed going together to Lahore Garden to enjoy the singing. Hearing this news, Duong Tuyen was extremely angry and upset. He believed Lam Tu was betrothed to Lin Quan, but still dared to flirt outside. Therefore, he immediately ordered his subordinates to take action at Lahore Garden. In a luxurious room on the second floor, the court physician young lady was absorbed in playing and singing. "I have a love song to present to you all. Please relax and listen to this gentle melody as I convey my feelings through each verse." The tune the court physician sang made the noble consort recognize it as a familiar folk song from Jiangnan. It had been over 15 years since the noble consort last returned there. Everything Lam Tu prepared today was related to Jiangnan. The noble consort asked involuntarily, "Could it be that you already knew I was from Jiangnan?" Lam Tu nodded, admitting that when he heard the lady speak, He recognized the distinctive Jiangnan accent and boldly guessed she was born and raised there. Oh, really? But you grew up in the capital. How could you recognize the Jiangnan accent? This question made Lam Tu a bit embarrassed. At first, he planned to say he had a girlfriend, but quickly changed his mind, explaining he had a friend who was also from Jiangnan, and that's how he recognized it. Today, the noble consort felt Lam Tu was truly considerate and did not hesitate to praise him. This time, Lam Tu considered himself indebted to the noble consort. What I did today was only to repay you. After the court physician finished the song, the noble consort praised it as very beautiful and said her spirits had improved greatly. Lam Tu also added, the court physician's singing truly moves the heart. When feeling tired or sad, I often come here to enjoy her singing to help relax my mood. The noble consort looked outside and said she had been out quite a while today and advised Lam Tu to visit the girl more often in the future. Then the noble consort stood up to leave. Watching her back, Lam Tu couldn't help but worry because his plan was still unfinished. He wondered why Duong Tuyen still hadn't taken action. The noble consort had been strolling for over an hour. Such a good opportunity, could he really miss it? The noble consort was about to leave Lahore Garden, but Duong Tuyen still showed no sign of action. Lam Tu recalled the last time at Tuyet Nung Ni's birthday party when he deliberately provoked Duong Tuyen to incite him to act. If this plan fails, he didn't know how long he would have to wait for another chance. At that moment, a man suddenly blocked the noble consort's path and spoke rudely. Hey, beautiful little lady, why don't you come with me? Compared to the powdered-faced guy behind you, I'm much stronger. Lam Tu felt happy when he saw this man. He knew the person he was waiting for had appeared. Not stopping there, he intended to cause trouble, mocking Lam Tu's frail figure, thinking he couldn't bring joy to a woman. Immediately, Lam Tu appeared, grabbed his hand, and said, "Wait a moment." Blocked the man, angrily shouted, "You rotten brat! How dare you steal my woman?" As soon as he finished, Lam Tu slapped him hard, the blow strong enough to knock out his teeth. As a result, Lam Tu beat him until his face was distorted. Two accomplices behind hurried to help him up, but he rolled his eyes and collapsed on the spot. The two accomplices immediately concluded he was no longer breathing. Big Brother is dead. He had killed someone. Soon after, the official appeared, asking who the culprit was. This situation made the guard understand the matter clearly. Meanwhile, the noble consort was extremely shocked by the incident, but Lam Tu quietly rejoiced because everything was going according to his plan. When the official arrived, the two accomplices pointed directly at Lam Tu as the culprit. The official asked no questions and immediately ordered Lam Tu to be taken to the station. But despite this situation, Lam Tu remained calm. He advised the noble consort to return first because it was no longer safe outside. What happened to Lam Tu made the noble consort very upset. She immediately ordered the guard Chukam to return to the palace to report to His Majesty, requesting he clear Lam Tu's name. In the imperial palace, Chukam respectfully explained everything to His Majesty. The man who accompanied that rogue used internal energy to break Lam Tu's blood vessels. Furthermore, the official appeared immediately afterward, indicating that the attempt to frame Lam Tu might involve the Dongthen judicial office. Although the noble consort was unharmed, she was extremely angry. She ordered an old servant to return and report to His Majesty that no matter what, Lam Tu's innocence must be restored. At this point, His Majesty began to doubt Lam Tu. He thought Lam Tu's innocence might not be true. Think about it. Why choose another time but exactly when the noble consort left the palace to frame him? Although His Majesty said so, Chukam noticed Lin Thu's condition had improved significantly. This made His Majesty have to admit Lam Tu's cleverness. He recalled an old matter. Do you remember? Once I summoned him to the palace to be punished. He arrived more than half an hour late. Yes, Chukam definitely remembers clearly. That time, Lam Tu was also arrested and taken to the Dongthan judicial prison, and it was the junior officer who arrested him. If he just mentioned that I summoned him to the palace, would any judicial office dare to touch him? Hearing this, Chukam seemed to understand His Majesty's meaning. He believed Lam Tu had planned everything in advance. Through this incident, His Majesty judged that although Lam Tu appeared honest, he was actually deeply cunning. He had even calculated for both His Majesty and the noble consort. Hearing this, Chukam was furious and demanded His Majesty punish Lam Tu severely, absolutely without mercy. However, the noble consort immediately scolded Chukam as a foolish servant. I want His Majesty to help clear his name. What are you talking about? You all only know how to scheme and harm others all day. Do you think everyone is like you? The noble consort's words made His Majesty feel embarrassed, as if he himself was being scolded. Then the noble consort turned to His Majesty and said, I really like him. You absolutely must not let him suffer injustice. Just one sentence from the noble consort made His Majesty flustered. He immediately ordered Chukem to send people to the Dongthang judicial office to rescue Lam Tu. After the noble consort left, Chukem asked His Majesty if he really would no longer punish Lam Tu. And indeed, after the noble consort's words, His Majesty changed his attitude toward Lam Tu. He remarked that this boy was young but quick-witted beyond others. He did not have the demeanor of someone who relied on power or influence. Most importantly, he had married the daughter of the Zhao family, so I feel very reassured. At the Dongthang gate, Lam Tu was brought to the location. The head of the gate was none other than Ngo Kong Tu's father, the man who had caused trouble with Lam Tu before. He awkwardly said that this case involving Lam Kong Tu was directly ordered by the city magistrate. He said he couldn't do otherwise. Lam Tu gave a look as if to remind him not to get involved.